Hey, good afternoon. JMV off today. He will be back, of course, tomorrow, getting you ready to go for the Final Four as we head through the week and everybody starts to infiltrate into this wonderful city of Indianapolis for another huge sporting event. We're talking about it with Jake just a moment ago. I've mentioned it on the morning show a million times as someone who'd worked in the national media for almost 2 decades. And even worked at the national media when my wife and I relocated here back in the early 2010s. We've been here for well over a decade now. There is no other place in America that is as well suited for big-time sporting events as Indianapolis. Yes, you can go to New Orleans and have a good time, and that's not a terrible place to go. You can go to Las Vegas and be one of 55 other things that are going on that weekend. You can go to Los Angeles or New York and get swallowed up into just the gigantic area that comprises those two cities. You can do all those things, but consistently, it is no accident that a lot of these folks keep coming back. There's no accident that the NFL Combine here has found a home. It's well situated. We talk about the walkable downtown. We talk about all of the restaurants. We talk about the hotel rooms, all of those things. And maybe to get another Super Bowl, you might need some more hotel rooms. They've talked about that. But honestly, consistently, Big Ten football championship, the National Football Championship a couple of years ago, NBA All-Star Games, WNBA All-Star Games. I'm not going to go down the entire list because everybody knows it. Everybody lives it. It's what we do. From the time you get into the best airport in America, Indianapolis over there, by the time you walk in and you're greeted and you're welcomed and there's something going on, because Indianapolis is just big enough that everything you need is here. And it's just small enough that it feels very intimate. And that doesn't just go to sports events or anything like that, any kind of event that comes here. People rave about it. They come back, and this is our week to shine. And I know that people have been looking forward to it. People I know that own businesses downtown and on the edge of downtown. They're excited. They're welcoming. They can't wait for people to come in here. People feel like they're welcomed here. It doesn't just feel like, oh, it's an event. It feels different in Indianapolis, and we've got that coming up over the next few days, so I'm really happy about that. And we'll talk about that a little bit as the day goes on, but I'm not going to pound people over the head with it over and over and over. We know we're terrific hosts. We'll continue to be great hosts. We welcome people in. People are glad to be here. We're glad that they're here. The event comes. It's put on flawlessly, and then it goes on. Here's the one thing I was thinking. When we saw that shot that UConn made, that, by the way, a former Mr. Indiana mate and Braylon Mullins, that game-winning shot to stun Duke, to knock them out of the tournament, to keep them from reaching this Final Four. I don't know if people remember this, and James, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but do you know 3 of Duke's national championships have happened in Indianapolis?
I was aware of that, yes.
3 of them. So, you got newcomers to cheer for and worry about when everybody gets here this week. And I'm just curious, and light me up one way or the other on the fan text line at 239-1070. Does it feel weird? It almost feels a little wrong to want another Big Ten team other than Purdue or Indiana to do well here at the Final Four. Like, I'm not one of those, they're in our conference, it's in the fan. Like in the SEC, you get the sense that if Alabama's not kicking everybody's butt in football, that the conference still wants somebody else from the SEC to dominate the playoffs just so they can continue to say, hey, we're the best conference out there. I'm not in the habit of cheering for Illinois or Michigan since I've lived in this great state for the last 13 years, and I don't know that I can start now. I have nothing against any of the young men or Dusty May or Brad Underwood or any of the folks that are doing things or Keaton Wagler. That's fine, and if they win, good for them. But I don't know that I can actively cheer for another Big Ten school. So now that leaves me Arizona or UConn. Well, Bobby Hurley's nuts, so he's good TV, so maybe you want to see him get to the championship game. But I don't know that I need to see UConn win another national championship. They've won 2 of the last 3, and I'm good with that. So I guess I'm kind of left, and by default, I don't know that I'll be a big, huge fan of them. But James, I guess that kind of leaves me Arizona, right? I mean, they're new. I can't say they're newcomers because when Lute Olson was there, they were always on the big stage. But now, maybe this feels fresher and newer.
That's who I'm pulling for. That's who I've got winning the whole thing.
So I do have Arizona in my bracket winning the whole thing. My bracket was in pretty good shape until that shot by Braylon Mullins. I'll tell you what, I've never been more happy to have my bracket busted in one single moment on a big shot than when Braylon Mullins, former Mr. Indiana, hit that shot. And so that's what you've got coming to town this week. I'm looking forward to it. We got a million things to talk about today. I keep listening. This is a really weird spot for me. I personally like Chris Ballard, James. I like him. Like, I think he's a good human being.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that trumps everything else. If you're a good human being, and I think he is, and you hear that. I was listening to some of the sound you were playing with Jake a minute ago, and he's proud of everybody, and he always talks positively about people and things like that. That might be in his particular position a little bit to his detriment. Because sometimes I think, Chris, if he has one big fault, I think sometimes he's loyal to a fault. And on the one hand, you go, well, we'd all love it if our bosses are all loyal to us, right?
Mm.
That's important. We like that. And I've had loyal bosses in the past, and I've had bosses that, they were who they were, whatever. But I think Chris Ballard is a really good person. But I, for the life of me, as somebody who's, because I like him, has tried to defend the things that have been going on and whatnot, and it gets harder and harder as you go. But I just have to ask this question. What are they doing? What are you doing at this point in time? While everybody else is loading up. The Chiefs, not only are they busy bringing their good guys back like we were, and I think Travis Kelce's probably got one more year left in him, but they're going out and they're getting Kenneth Walker. They're going out and they're taking big swings. And it feels to me like the Colts had one big objective in the offseason in mind. Well, three. Probably had a 3-point plan at the top, because we all prioritize things, right? Whether you have a whiteboard in your office, or I have you see me carrying this thing around all the time, James. I have everything I need. I have a big book and a little book. And I write things down. And those are I'll put my priorities in there, or things that I'm working on, or things that I'm thinking about, things that I want to get back to, whatever it is. I put that in there. It felt to me like Chris Ballard had three things, main things in big block red letters to do. And those three things were re-sign Daniel Jones, your quarterback. Because I think he feels, and I'm trying to speak from his perspective right now, I believe Ballard feels he's got a quarterback that can compete in the AFC and the NFL. Okay. Now, we know that quarterback's limping around right now on one leg after a blown-out Achilles and a laundry list of injuries that have affected him throughout his career. So if you want to hitch your wagon to the one guy who's had some success for you, really, in the last 5-6 years, I get it. I understand that. And you pay pretty much the going rate for a quarterback for a couple of years. Okay, so check on that one, all right? I'm not even going to evaluate that move, but I'm just talking about what Chris Ballard wanted to do. Check on that one, right? He wanted to sign Alec Pierce to a longer-term deal. Check on that one. I don't think anybody's mad at the Alec Pierce deal. There are a lot of people outside that are like, Alec Pierce is getting that much money? I'm telling you this. I think Alec Pierce is going to be a really good wide receiver.
Agreed.
And people get mad at me because I said the same thing about A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell is an unbelievably talented dude. And I'll tell you this. A.D. Mitchell would still be with the Colts if he'd not dropped that football at the goal line.
Again, agreed.
And I think he would have grown and gotten better and better. And you saw immediately, the guy immediately went to the Jets and they started throwing him the football because he gets open. Now, can he catch it? I'm not here to debate the A.D. Mitchell thing. I wouldn't say, I thought he was going to be a really good player. And I still think he'll develop into that. I think Alec Pierce is going to be a really good player. He's got size, he's got speed, and he's got hands. He's got better hands than A.D. Mitchell ever had. He can catch a football. All right, so 2 for 2. I'm okay with that. And then the third one, I thought it feels like in the aftermath of everything that they really wanted to go get Trey Hendrickson. And I think that probably came more into focus for them when it looked like Max Crosby was going to get traded to the Ravens. And then where else was Hendrickson going to go? Because the Ravens are the ones that were really looking for that kind of edge rusher. So they bring in Max Crosby on a trade. Then this is how I look at it. And you can't tell me otherwise. I will die on this hill. The Baltimore Ravens knew what they were doing. They played the rest of the league. Played them. We're going to trade for Max Crosby. We're going to bring him in. But, oh, by the way, if we get to sign Trey Hendrickson for a lot less money, that might be a better option for us. Now, Max Crosby is coming off a surgery. So it's pretty easy to have a doctor somewhere go, yeah, he's not ready to play football. I can't guarantee that he's going to heal up completely 100%. You can find anybody to say that, right? And that's what they did. So they're going to have to give a huge monster contract out to Max Crosby, despite the fact that they traded him and would have traded a lot of draft capital and assets away for him. Or you can just get a cheaper game wrecker in Trey Hendrickson, and you don't have to lose any draft compensation. I think when they had both of them in the building, they're like, well, why would we give up the draft capital? Why would we give up the draft capital? Why would we give up all this and pay more money? We can get Trey Hendrickson and see how that goes right now. So I think they knew exactly what they were doing. Problem is, I think the Indianapolis Colts, from everything I read and hear and people I've talked to, put it all together, it feels like they had the inside track on Trey Hendrickson before that deal went south for the Ravens. So the deal goes south. The Ravens send Max Crosby back to Las Vegas, and then they're there with Trey Hendrickson, which kind of left the Colts holding the bag. So I don't know how anybody can look you in the face, whether you're a diehard Colts fan or you're Chris Ballard or you're Carly Ursay-Gordon, and say, yep, we did everything we wanted to do this offseason. We're good. Because you let 5 people go through one way or the other, either free agency or trade or whatever. There's 5 guys that are gone from the starting lineup last year, and I don't know that you've done a great job replacing those 5 guys. At best, you've kind of traded this guy for that guy, should be okay. I don't know that you – please show me anyone, and text me up at 239-1070. Name me, other than – and they're bringing the kickers back. They got 2 kickers coming back too. Same guys who did a good job last year, so I'm not mad at that. But show me the one position where you can say, yep, as a whole, the Colts got better there. Just one. Give me one position where you go, yep, Colts got better. Now, their backups might be better. I think the rotational pieces along the defensive front, they're fine, but they're rotational pieces. And unless you think all of a sudden Latu is going to become a game wrecker at 12, 14, 15 sacks a year or just throwing people out of the way, he's good, but I don't see him becoming that guy. Tuamolo barely even played. The Colts barely even played him last year. And what are you going to get out of him this year? I think I saw they played him 27% of the snaps. So I'm just objectively looking at this lineup, and I'm saying to myself, show me where they got better. Show me how this works out. You're hoping that a guy comes back on time from Achilles surgery who's played 1 full season in the NFL without being injured, and you're going to throw to a receiving core now that, yes, you have Alec Pierce locked up, and Josh Downs a fine receiver, and they're fine, but they didn't adequately replace Michael Pittman Jr. They didn't. They went out and got another wide receiver, and I'm fine with that. But I don't think they got any better. So I struggle when I look up and down this roster. Please tell me, where did they get better? Because I don't see it right now. I don't see it right now. You got the same quarterback, only he's coming off an injury. The same wide receivers, unless you want to throw in the Akine signing, which I guess you could. I mean, I guess I won't be mad at you, but he's not Michael Pittman Jr. now, is he? No, he's not. So where did they get better? Where did the Colts get better? The fact is they haven't gotten any better. You're hoping that 8-2, 10-game start last year, you're going to pick up right where that left off. That's what you're hoping. You're hoping that Nick Westbrook-Akine is the guy that replaces Michael Pittman Jr., and somehow your entire squad gets better. Now, maybe they'll go draft a stud or 2 in the draft that we don't see coming because they don't have a first-round pick, as we all know this year. I will tell you this. I do think second-year Tyler Warren is going to be better than first-year Tyler Warren. He kind of had that rookie wall towards the end of the season last year, but I think some of that and the fact that Jonathan Taylor didn't have near the numbers in the last half of the season as the first half, I think a lot of that is because you can play your defense differently when you don't have to worry about who the quarterback is. And they didn't have to worry about the quarterback. And despite the fact that it was a great feel-good story that Phillip Rivers gets off the couch and comes back in, Phillip Rivers didn't scare anybody. He was efficient. He knew what he was doing. He looked like he belonged on a football field, but he wasn't a huge difference maker now, was he? And you could load the box against JT. So I will tell you that second-year Tyler Warren will be better than first-year Tyler Warren. Other than that, you got a quarterback coming off of injury. Jonathan Taylor, who I love, got 1, maybe 2 great years left. And I say that only because that's how it works at running back. You reach a certain point where it just starts getting tougher. And I could see JT with 2 great years left, and that's fine for now. But he was rolling the first half of the year. Can you get back to that? I don't know. But when you look at that starting defensive front, it's Grover Stewart, DeForest Buckner coming off an injury, Latu, Davis Gaither. Does that scare anybody in the AFC? I don't think they're going to be scared by anybody. They're not terrifying offensive lines in the AFC right now. And so you have a team that has had all kinds of trouble making playoffs lately, much less winning playoff games. And it feels like other teams around the AFC added a piece here, filled a hole there, did some things here. I'm just not sure what the Indianapolis Colts have done other than run it back. We've talked about that on the morning show. It seems like we talk about it all the time, but they've run it back. What else do you do? At this point in time, you can go get, I've gone over the list of available defensive ends and edge rushers, and the good ones that you would say good were great 5 years ago, but they're free agents now, and they'll cost a little bit of money, and they're all 32, 34, 35. So maybe that's what you do. You better hit on a bunch of draft picks this year, man.
I mean, it really feels like with the Colts, and John has talked about this, I know for sure, that it kind of just feels like their plan is to just cross their fingers and really hope that 8-1 start from last year, that was what this team was, and it wasn't a fluke based off of the easy schedule and that Daniel Jones can come back and that Alec Pierce can take his game to another level. I mean, it just feels like this whole thing is cross your fingers and really, really hope that it works out without really doing anything different.
100%, James. And if you're just hoping that everybody's going to be healthy this year and get healthy, that doesn't work in the National Football League. You cannot count on health in the National Football League. And I only say it as like, look, Sauce Gardner may come back and have a completely healthy year, and I hope he does because he seems like a good dude, Mm-hmm. And I like having him on the team. He's certainly talented. I'm fine with that. Mooney Ward, man, I worry for that guy. I worry for him. Like, as a human being, I'm glad that he wants to continue to play football and he feels well enough to play. But, yeah, I worry about him. Kenny Moore is not 21 years old anymore. And I like Kenny Moore. Here's the thing. I like this team. Like, the guys that are on this team, they're good people. I like them. It's easy to cheer for them, but where are they going? It just feels like they're stuck in the purgatory of NFL mediocrity, and they can't get out. They've fallen and they can't get up, is what they've done. And I'm looking for, I listened to what we'll listen to what Chris Ballard said. We're going to talk to James Boyd about this live from Phoenix a little bit later on. And again, I like Chris Ballard a lot. Like, he is a good dude. I just don't see the plan. And maybe it's me. Maybe, look, I've been wrong before, but I don't see the plan here. Somebody help me out if they truly see the plan and go, you know what? It's going to work. Here's the plan. The plan is here's the plan. You want to know what the plan is, James?
Hit me.
The plan is Daniel Jones is going to be healthy from day one. He's going to pick up right where he left off, and he's going to be healthy all season long.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan Taylor, because he's got a quarterback in front of him, is going to go right back to being the Jonathan Taylor that was lighting up the league for the first 9 weeks of the year last year. I'm not saying played well. Lighting up the league. That's what they were doing.
He was an MVP candidate.
Right? I understand why it would be easy to get lost in the success of those first 9 weeks because they were historically good, man. They really were. But the defense was always a problem. But now you've got an offensive line, which is fine. Like, Quentin Nelson's still an all-timer. Tanner Bortolini is going to move in full-time again. We've seen him. He can play. Goncalves is going to be back again. I never say his name right. I don't know why. Do you ever have a mental block about certain people and names?
Oh, all the time.
That's one that gets me every time. I don't know why, but it does, and I'll be the first to admit it. So the offensive line is okay. I don't think it's like, I got spoiled several years ago when they had Anthony Costanza and they had a peak center and Smith was playing well and obviously Quentin Nelson. I was in on that offensive line, man.
It was one of the better O-lines in the league.
I was in on that offensive line. We don't have that line. This offensive line is fine. I don't think there's a glaring, oh my God, I can't put that guy out on the field hole, but they're not anywhere near what they were. And it's run it back on defense again with a bunch of guys that got hurt. You're hoping that even from a depth perspective, you're hoping Justin Wally comes back healthy. You're hoping that Hunter Waller shows a little bit of the promise he showed in the preseason before he got hurt. You're hoping Trevarius Ward doesn't have another concussion. You're hoping that Sauce Gardner stays healthy all year long. You're hoping that starting to get a little bit older Kenny Moore holds up for an entire season. And I'm still not completely sold on their linebackers at this point in time. I talked about Gaither a little while ago. Okay, we'll see what happens. We'll see. We'll see. I think they've got decent players, but I don't think they have. I look at this roster and I go, I don't know, they can win their own division. Forget Kansas City and Denver. Forget the New England Patriots. Forget, I think it'll be an improved again Ravens team. Who knows what you're going to get in Cincinnati? They got their own questions going on down there. So I just, do me a favor, because I need this. I'm an optimistic person by nature, generally optimistic. Give me 3 things that lead you to believe as a Colts fan that this is the year that they get past it and Ballard gets his first division championship, and forget Jacksonville getting better. Forget the Texans. Hoping that the Titans stay the Titans. But I just wonder, like, if you're a fan or a media member of like the Jacksonville Jaguars, what's your opinion of the Colts? Is it much? It's got to be better than the Titans, right? It's got to be better than the Titans.
It makes me think about what the Colts used to think about the other members of the AFC South during the Manning years. I mean, that's where the Colts are now. They're the Texans of the mid-2000s. They're the Titans or the Jaguars. They're the ones that you don't really think of as a threat anymore. Yeah.
So there's a good word for that. A lot of people may know, they may not know. I raced bikes all over the country when I was a young kid in my 20s and early 30s. And so it's still one of my favorite sports to watch on TV. I get the VPNs. I watch all the European races. And most of the time when there's a big race, there's 8 or 10 guys with a realistic chance to win, and probably 3 or 4 that are just better than everybody else. Mm-hmm. And you know what we call the rest of of everybody? There's usually like 180 or so other guys on the start line. You know what we call them?
What do you call them?
Pack-fill.
That's an apt description of the Colts right now.
They're worker bees and pack-fill. And that's kind of what the Colts are right now. They're a game that you have to play that on a good day they could beat you, right?
Oh yeah.
But I don't think Jacksonville is out there right now. Liam Cohen's not in his office right now going, God, how do I get past the Colts? What am I going to do? What am I going to do?
I mean, you look at the Colts roster, and doesn't it look like 7-10, 8-9? Doesn't it look like
I see 8-9, 9-8 all over again?
It's the exact same thing that we have done for the last half decade with this team, essentially.
And I want it to be better. Like, I would love for them to have a Denver Broncos year like the Broncos had this year, where every game they won was like by 3 points. Mm-hmm. Give me that. I'll sign. You give me 11 wins for the Colts because they won a bunch of close games. That counts. I'll take it. I'll do that. I tell people all the time, as somebody who watches the Broncos every week, I have no idea how they were in the AFC Championship game. They have a great defense, but they just would get hot in the fourth quarter. It was amazing to watch. But I don't see what the Colts have right now that makes them better than they were a year ago. And if you say, well, the year ago, if everybody stays healthy, they're that 8-2 team, that's asking an awful lot, man. I always say when you're evaluating teams at the beginning of the year and you're trying to figure out what kind of year they're going to have, the question is if. Well, if this happens, if that happens, if that happens. There's a lot of ifs for the Colts. All right, coming up in a minute, we are going to talk to one of my favorite people of all time, Mike DeCourcy. He'll be in here covering the Final Four for the Sporting News and the Big Ten Network, but he announced that he's retiring after this NCAA tournament, and I got to talk to him about that, and I got to get his insights on the 4 teams that have made their way here. What is Purdue going to do as they try to reload, and how in the world does Darren DeVries get Indiana back on track? Lots to talk about next. It's JMV. I almost said the Fan Morning Show. I was that close, James. It's the Ride with JMV. Jeff Rickard in, and we'll continue in a moment.
The Ride with JMV.
Excuse me, sir. There's been a little problem in the cockpit.
The cockpit? What is it?
It's the little room in the front of the plane where the pilots sit. But that's not important right now.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
You ever seen the movie Airplane, James?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
It's one of my favorites.
All right. We can continue then.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure. Don't call me Shirley. Welcome into the Fan, the Ride with JMV. I almost did it again, the Fan Morning Show, where I work with Kevin and James every morning. JMV needed this day off, so I said that I'll slide out and do the show today. So you get to put up with me for the next couple of hours, but I'm glad to be here and looking forward to working with everybody in the afternoon and listen to you folks. And hopefully we'll get Mike DeCourcy on in just a moment here and have him on the air and talk about just this amazing, man, the rain is coming down all of a sudden, like just now started. If you're right downtown, we're right near I-70 in Meridian, and it is pouring all of a sudden. But Mike DeCourcy has had this just a splendid, amazing quarter century or more career working at the Sporting News, a magazine that I grew up on and then later became really digital, one of the first ones to go digital. And Mike DeCourcy joins us now on the Payless Liquors hotline. He's going to be in town later this week for the Final Four. And Mike, I always tell people you're one of my favorite human beings. I truly mean that. I've enjoyed the times we've spent together, both at events or just having lunch. And I'm honored to have you here today. And I was surprised when I looked up to see your story this week and you said that you're getting ready to retire, man. Good for you.
Well, thank you. It's not 100% retirement, but it's about a 80% retirement, I guess. When you take the full-time Sporting News off the plate, it gets a lot lighter, and I'll still be around there a little and hopefully still doing the broadcasting work that I've done the last 20 years or so. And it just felt like this was a great opportunity. When my wife and I moved out of Indy, a town that we really loved. We really loved being in Fishers for the 10 years we were there, the people that we met along the way. And when we moved home, it felt like this was kind of the right time, that with the World Cup coming here to the United States, a chance to go out working on the biggest sporting event in the world and come back for my last full-time Final Four, to be there in the city where it should always be, one of the great basketball cities on the planet. I don't think there's anywhere better for hoops than Indiana and Indianapolis, so really excited about that all coming together.
Well, I am happy for you, and I know that we'll stay in touch, and I'll be seeing you, especially if you're going to continue working with your broadcast duties. But you and I worked together at the old Sporting News Radio Network back in the day, and I can remember sitting next to you for one of the greatest basketball games I've ever watched in my life at the old arena in the Rosemont. I think they called it Allstate at that point in time. That amazing come-from-behind win in overtime that Illinois had over Arizona, I think, in 2005. Still one of the greatest 20 or 30 minutes of basketball I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I always say that it really wasn't the greatest 20. It was really the greatest 8.
Yeah, you're right, because it got late when I think they were still down like 15 with 3 minutes to go or something, weren't they?
Yeah, so they were playing. I mean, let's be honest. This is a great Illinois team. They played like trash. I mean, Arizona played fabulous. You don't get up 13-15 on that Illinois team without playing phenomenal. But Illinois was bad. And then all of a sudden, it just completely flipped. Arizona was phenomenal for the last 3 minutes. Whether the lead was 13 or 15 or whatever it was at that stage, it was definitely into double digits. And they flipped it in those final 3 minutes, tied the game. Then the overtime was as good as it gets. I mean, that was basketball at the absolute highest level. And so from that standpoint, the memory is amazing that it could be such a great game. But you do have to remember that it didn't go like for a lot of that game. A lot of us, especially those of us who are writing on deadline, are thinking, how do we paint the Arizona victory? This miserable performance from Illinois, one of the teams that literally like 2 weeks earlier was undefeated going into their final game. And now we got to write about that. And then all of a sudden, I don't remember if I had typed anything out or anything, But if I did, none of it ever saw the light of day because it was irrelevant by the time Luther Head and D. Brown and Darren Williams and company got going.
Yeah, and Bruce Weber was the coach of that team, and now you're working with him over the Big Ten Network. It's funny how things come full circle. Hey, before we get into Purdue, Indiana talk and start looking ahead for those programs, where do you, how do you even categorize that last 10 seconds between Duke and UConn this past weekend?
I've never seen anything quite like it because although I have seen something a little bit like it, not the 10 seconds, but the collapse itself was very similar to what I saw a week earlier in Greenville, South Carolina, when Carolina played VCU. Mm-hmm. And the reason I compare the two is that I didn't think either VCU, which won the comeback and then won in overtime, and then, of course, UConn does it at the buzzer. I didn't think either of those teams played particularly well to come back. Like what I just talked about before with Illinois, they had to be phenomenal to get back in those 3 minutes. But UConn, they did make some big plays. I mean, the two Silas Demery three-pointers and the one from Alex Caravan after a really poor performance to get them back into position. But remember, I mean, they missed a free throw. They missed free throws earlier. I think they missed a key front end at one point. And they missed a free throw. Demery missed a free throw at the line with 10 seconds left, a chance to cut the lead to 1 and put yourself in a position. In that position, you're trying to do affirmative things and not, if we do this, and I always hear the announcers say you don't need a 3. And I'm like, yes, but if you don't get one, you're down 4. If you don't get a 3, then the other team has to fail for you to win.
Yeah.
You want to do affirmative things so you can win without the other team having to fail. Well, in that case, they failed themselves by missing one of the 2 free throws, and they missed an opportunity to take it down to 1. And if you foul immediately, then the other team can make 2 free throws, and you still could tie with a 3 and go to overtime. And if they don't, then you could either tie it with a bucket or win it with a 3. And instead, what they did was they decided to, because they had 10 seconds, to wait a little bit on the foul. And that turned out to be a brilliant decision because Caden Boozer's 2 decisions. See, the thing everybody will remember is the pass, the turnover that Demery deflected and Braylon Mullins retrieved. But I don't think that was even his biggest mistake for Caden Boozer. Obviously, the one doesn't happen without the other. But his second mistake, to not pursue the ball or not pursue Braylon Mullins as a defender at that point and make sure that Mullins doesn't have any comfort in either retrieving the ball or trying to advance it or trying to attempt a shot. By extricating himself from that situation, Boozer ran to the lane for reasons that I'll never understand, and he opened Mullins for when Mullins passed the ball to Caravan. Caravan sees, I'm covered, he's still not. I can get it to him. He can step into this and shoot it from – I don't know that Braylon had to shoot it when he did, but he did by shooting it when he did. He kept himself from being defended by Isaiah Evans, who was still there. And by doing that, he got a clean, free look at the goal. It was awfully deep, but he was able to shoot it with great confidence and obviously with great precision.
Yeah, that was a pure shot. No question about that. Mike DeCourcy, Sporting News, joining us here on the Payless Liquors hotline. Jeff Rickard in for JMV today. All right, let's talk a little bit about Purdue. You know, a few years ago when they had the Carson Edwards run, I thought, man, how's Matt Painter going to replicate this kind of a team when they were just hitting shots from everywhere, and then they ran into a weird Tennessee team and didn't happen. And then they came up with a pretty good team after that. Zach Edey was a part of that. But this trio of seniors that we've talked about, and Braden Smith and Fletcher Lawyer and Trey Kaufman-Wren, I say to myself, in today's world, how does Matt Painter go about building this thing back up again for a team that has a legitimate shot at getting through the tournament again?
Well, I think that it was amazing what he was able to accomplish with that group because remember, Trey was a big recruit in the state of Indiana. He was somebody that both IU and Purdue wanted. And Purdue won that battle. But Trey was not he was not a McDonald's All-America level recruit. He was a great high school player in Indiana. I think he was around I could be wrong about this, but I thought he was around a top 70-ish player in the country. I don't think Fletcher was as high as that, and we know Braden was, all the way down to like 190 or 191. And to do what they did with that group, Big Ten championship, I believe they won as a freshman, and a number 1 seed in the tournament. Then Final Four national championship game, then Sweet 16, then a Big Ten tournament championship, and an Elite Eight as seniors. Just staggering what they were able to achieve as that group. And it's hard to replace that kind of talent and that kind of experience going out the door. But you don't doubt Matt Painter because he keeps doing it. He has an unbelievable eye for talent. And having an eye for talent and not just pure talent, but also team chemistry and teamwork and the willingness and ability to invest in being a great team. You can look at somebody who's a terrific individual talent, but if you overlook the possibility, say, that a particular player doesn't play well with his teammates, doesn't seem to like them, doesn't seem all that invested in winning, if you overlook those things and you bring that player in anyway, then you're constantly at work trying to fix that, and you never really get to be what you are. So that's another element of it that Matt basically never misses on. He understands what wins. And so I know that this next group he'll get right. And I would imagine that this group may require, because you're losing 4 senior starters, may require a little bit more in terms of infusion from the transfer portal. I hope that Matt will be open to that. I think that he needs to be able to say that it's not just Oscar Clough and Lance Jones, but somebody like, if there's another Jaden Bradley out there, guy who's going to come and spend 3 years in your program, where's the harm in that? I mean, you don't want to recruit anybody that you've got, but if you've got a vacancy, and I haven't pondered the rest of the roster well enough to know if they do, but if you've got a clear vacancy and there's a player who in the portal who fits that, who isn't someone who's a veteran like Lance was, like Oscar was, I think that can help you. I can't imagine anybody wouldn't want to have Jaden Bradley on their team right now.
I'm a little over, but I got one more quick question for you. You were talking about guys that could be in the portal. I saw the big 7'9" kid from Florida entered the portal today. Were you? What kind of program would be good for him? Didn't play a lot at Florida, but at 7'9", he's intriguing. Can he play? Where does he end up? Some guy like that.
I've seen him some. I saw him in the U19s over the summer, and he does have some ability. I think, like, if you look back at Taco Fall, when Taco was playing, I think he was at UCF, and at that point UCF was in the American. I believe, if I'm right, certainly was not yet in the Big 12. And I think a level like that might be good for Olivier. I think that might be somewhere that he would have a chance to flourish. High majors, the amount of time that a program would have to invest in playing with him, and then when you take him out, you become an entirely different team. Mm-hmm. And that's the problem. So you need to be somewhere where that's not prohibitive. If you think about what Kansas was like. Forget the size. Darren Peterson's there, now he's not. You're 2 different teams, totally. And it was a problem for them all year. And then finally Darren gets healthy enough to become a regular player, and they didn't know how to deal with it. They didn't know how to deal with Darren always being there. Yeah. And they finished poorly. So I think that kind of level would probably be the ideal destination for him.
Yeah. At 30 seconds or less, if you can, how do you evaluate Darren DeVries in Indiana and starting all over again this year? Where are they at?
Yeah, first year, you can't. One of the things that has to happen, I believe, is that when somebody takes over a program like Indiana now, if you get caught in the trap of trying to be great immediately, then there's a good chance you might not be, and then there's a really good chance you won't be the next year. Now, Darren was only there in March, and so there really was no other option. Like, you're not going to go get a bunch of high school guys in March. They had Sisley committed. They kept him. I wish they'd played him more. I wish they'd played in the Crown this week so that he could have just gone out and gotten 30 minutes a game no matter what. But I think you need to make sure that the next group is not just portal. He didn't have any other option. He was going to lose his entire team, and he needed to have an entire team. But Indiana fans have to be patient. One of the things that I've said, Jeff, and I apologize if I run over here, but one of the things that I've said about the Blue Bloods is, like, you have to be patient. The embrace of the Blue Blood is now the only superpower they have, because with the nature of recruiting now, you've got tradition. Okay, well, that team has money. And, okay, you've got money too, so now you're, like, kind of on even footing. There's the difference between you two is tradition. Well, maybe that player would rather play closer to home or something like that. So the factors that have swung things toward Indiana, Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky over the years, it can't just be, well, we've always been great and we need to be great, so if we're not great, then we're mad at you. It has to be, we're going to embrace this because we love the game more than they do down the road, and we're going to make you feel that.
Mm-hmm. Mike, always great to catch up with you. You and I could go forever and ever and ever, man. I really appreciate the minutes you've given us, and hopefully I'll run into you this week.
Oh, absolutely, Jeff. And by the way, I didn't mean literally down the road, because they love the game at Purdue too. I meant out there. So wasn't talking about the Boilers.
I got you. I was picking up where you're putting down there, buddy.
All right, thanks, Jeff.
Thank you so much. Mike DeCourcy, the Sporting News, kind enough to join us here, extended minutes on the Payless Liquors hotline. All right, I'm over time. I'll tell you about some free ticket giveaways for some basketball-related Final Four activities next. That's right here on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Son, you got a panty on your head. Just drive fast, okay?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
James, I've been listening to John for, 13, 14 years, something like that now, and the rejoins never get old. They never get old.
Some of them have been around for a minute at this point.
No, they've all been around for a minute at this point. Fair. I mean, that's kind of JMV's thing, right?
That's fair, yeah.
Let's do 80s and 90s, and we'll throw in some yacht rock, and we'll make sure that we promote the show on B.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up this weekend.
The Takeover. Always got to promote the Takeover.
And, he and Jake are great at promoting concerts from around here, so we got all that stuff going on, and that's how that works. Reminder, keep listening to The Fan either here on JMV or the morning show with me and Kevin and James for your chance to win a pair of tickets to the 2026 State Farm College Slam Dunk and the three-point contest that are coming up at Hinkle Fieldhouse this Friday, April 3rd. Next chance to win is probably going to be coming up later in the show sometime. And we'll do it by text, and I'll have a keyword, and I'll throw out that word, and then you'll text us at 239-1070, and hopefully you'll be on your way for a couple of tickets to go see. I've been to those before. They're actually fun. College slam dunk is much more fun than the NBA slam dunk contest.
Really?
Much more. Yeah, because they're kids, and they look, all those kids at 19, they can jump out of a gym.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them put together some really spectacular things, and the energy, I guess what I'm saying is the energy is different. There's so much... But the NBA guys, first of all, the best guys never want to be there. Mm-hmm. So you always feel like you're getting shorted a little bit, right? Not that there's anything wrong with the guys that are there. But look, if we could pick who we wanted to be in a slam dunk contest, we'd want to see the best players that we know can sky through the air, right?
Absolutely.
And they usually have other things that they want to do. They're already playing the game on Sunday. They don't want to overcommit to a bunch of things. It's not like the old days. Like when they first started slam dunks, when I was really into it and I was younger and getting into it, it would be like Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins. And everybody was giving stuff up. And then even as recently as Blake Griffin, I don't know if you remember Blake Griffin jumping over, I think it was a Kia.
Oh, yeah. Great moment.
It's just ridiculous stuff like that, right? And probably, I can't think of his name right now, probably the most exciting slam dunk guy in the last 5 years is the guy who never actually even plays in the NBA. He's always hanging out in the G League. I can't think of his name right now. I wish I could come up with it. People are yelling at their radio right now. I appreciate that. But anyway, your chance to go see that is coming your way a little bit later on today. You can join us by giving us a call at 239-1070 on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Be more than happy to talk to you about that stuff right there. What was his name?
Mac McClung.
Mac McClung. That's who it was. Mac McClung. It's kind of like Mac McClung is like the long drive guy in golf. Like if they have these long drive world championships and contests and stuff like that, it's never a guy that plays on the PGA Tour.
They have one specific
They've
skill
got
set.
one specific skill set, and a guy will drive the ball like 450 yards.
I mean, you can make a career out of that.
If you're the right 3 or 4 guys, yeah. You're the right 3 or 4 guys. Like when I was younger, I could hit the ball forever. I won a couple of those long drive contests, but I couldn't keep it on the fairway, James. It might be a 340-yard drive, but it was out of bounds.
See, that's a lot better than I could do because I've never actually hit a real golf club and golf ball.
Kevin's got a little length in his game.
Oh, really?
Bowen, yeah.
Really?
I don't hit it as long. I've had both shoulders rebuilt. I don't hit it as long as I used to anymore. I don't do a lot of things as well as I used to anymore, James.
Well, isn't Kevin a big golf guy anyway? Isn't he a big on the Masters?
He's terrific. I've played golf with Kevin. He's pretty good at it. Which reminds me, come on out and join us down in Franklin, April 30th.
Do you know Kevin's handicap?
I do not, off the top of my head, but I bet it's not. I bet it's certainly single digit. There's no question about that. But yeah, join us down in Franklin, April 30th. It's the fan golf outing presented by Franciscan Health, and you're going to be able to bid on great auction items. We'll all be there. Jake, JMV, James Boyd, Kevin, of course, is going to be there. Matt Taylor is going to be the official starter. Eddie White, who does the world's greatest post-game show, is going to be there. A couple of other folks that are former athletes that I don't know how comfortable I feel promoting all of them because some of them are going to be there and they just want to go play golf, but they'll hang out with you, and it's going to be a lot of fun. But we're going to be raising a bunch of money for Franciscan Health, and it's down in Franklin at Legends. Go to 1075thefan.com right now and register your foursome, or even just if you want to go as a single. We'll hook you up with somebody. No question about that. It's more than just a golf outing. It's an opportunity to connect, compete, contribute, and take advantage of free cancer screenings available on-site courtesy of the Franciscan Health Cancer Center. That's coming your way on April 30th. Go to 1075thefan.com. Get in on it now. I'm in a baseball mood because the Reds are 3-1. You can't stop the Cincinnati Reds right now. We're going to talk some baseball with a woman who's doing great things in baseball, and she's a friend of our airwaves and has done many shows here in the past. Former TV personality here in the market. Trisha Whitaker, now teaching at IU, joins us next on 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Hans, Bobby, I'm your white knight.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Happy Tuesday afternoon. Welcome into The Ride with JMV. Jeff Rickard in for JMV today. He will be back in action tomorrow, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know what that little storm was that just kind of little cloud hung over our area here in downtown Indianapolis, but it just unloaded for about 15 minutes. And then, James, the sun is back out and everybody is moving along like nothing ever happened. It's just, well, welcome into April. And then I saw it's supposed to rain like for the rest of the week.
Oh, yeah.
And then be kind of cold again at the beginning of the week next week. What is, like, I get it. I understand. I've been here a long time. We all know how it works. I am so ready for spring and summer.
I am too.
I am so ready for spring and summer. Because it just feels like we've been teased 1 or 2 days lately, and no. And then get teased again, and no. But that's the worst we have to worry about, then we're okay with that. We were talking about the Colts in hour number 1, and we finished up talking about college basketball because the college basketball world comes to our city this week. But I'm excited, as I am. Every baseball fan is always excited in the first week of April, except for the Rockies and the White Sox, because they are who they are right out of the gate. I just want to point out, everybody, that the Reds are 3-1, and they may not lose again the rest of the year. They may go 161-1. And I thought, it's baseball. It's spring. I'm excited. The season's fresh. It's young. I want to talk about it. Who do I want to talk about it with? Our old friend Trisha Whitaker, who every time I turn around, she's at a national championship football game, or she's at the World Baseball Classic, or she's doing a Friday night baseball game on Al. I can't keep up with you, Trisha. Can't keep up with you.
You betcha. That's the point. We won a natty. I got to go to the World Baseball Classic. Season starting. I'm right where I want to be, Jeff.
Who's living better than you? And you're molding the minds of young Americans down at IU every day.
I literally just got done teaching, and I'm so glad you sent me a reminder of this interview, because I was like in the middle of like critiquing a student going over their interview, and I'm like, I gotta go.
Well, thanks for joining us here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group Hotline. You know, I'm filling in for JMV today, but I'm a baseball guy at heart. I know people don't believe that sometimes, but my first baseball game ever was at the old Riverfront Stadium, and Johnny Bench hit a 3-run home run in the bottom of the 12th to beat the Houston Astros, and I've been a baseball fan and a Reds fan ever since. And I just got to tell you, after a little bit of a stumble on opening night, the Reds are 3-0, and I'm pretty sure they're going 161-1. What can I expect from Eugenio Suarez coming back to the team? And I know they don't have Hunter Green for a while, but what am I looking at for the Reds this year?
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? I just love that you're a Reds fan. I mean, I grew up a Cubs fan, but like the Reds always had like a really special place in my heart, just because like we would always go to Reds games because like we couldn't really afford Wrigley growing up. So whenever the Cubs played the Reds, we'd go. So I love it. I think they're positioned as a great contender in the Central. They're looking to build on last year. And I think Elly De La Cruz is like literally one of the most electric players I've ever seen. I respect him a lot. I think, and he learned English, which I thought was really cool because I'm trying to learn Spanish and I know how hard it is to do that. So big fan of him. You know how I feel about Tito. Everybody loves Tito. How could you not? But I think that they're positioned pretty well. You mentioned Suarez. He's obviously a great addition. They have a very deep bullpen. And I think, while I don't think they're going to like necessarily blow anybody away, I think they are certainly a team that could be a wild card contender or, you know, potentially a division winner if some of those additions and some of the young guys can really step up. So I think they're an exciting team. Like I said, I think Elly De La Cruz is very exciting to watch. We have them a couple times on Apple TV this year. And so I'm really excited to see what they can do. You know, I know that the rotation is facing a little bit of a depth test right now because of the injuries you mentioned, but I think that they can be a legitimate wild card contender and who knows, maybe a division winner.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but I don't know if you heard me. It's 161-1 in my mind at this point in time. That's just how it's going to go. And it starts with rolling over the Pirates. It starts with rolling over the Pirates at Great American Ballpark later on tonight. One of the other things, though, that I look around the league and I see what happens in the offseason. We watched the amazing run that Shohei Ohtani went on with the Dodgers last year, and they took it right to Game 7 against Toronto, which was thrilling. But they went back, and they're like, you know what we got to do? We're the Dodgers. We got Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
We got to get better at every position. Like, what are they doing when the Dodgers every year are just like, you know what? I know we got an all-star, but I know we've got like 5 all-stars. We need 8 all-stars and a couple of contenders for Cy Young.
Yeah, they're pretty greedy, huh? I mean, they're just kind of they're running the show right now. They are a dynasty. And, you know, I know that there's a lot of it. They're bought, not built. And I do agree with that. And anybody who says that's not true, well, you're not paying attention. They are bought, not built. But they're just doing what they can do, right? It's not like they're breaking any rules. They're just doing what they know they can do. Do I think it's fair to the other teams? No. But are they doing what they can do? Yes, they are. And they're going out and they're getting the absolute best talent. You know, I know that it's criticized, but you cannot deny they are the dream team because of the talent that they have. And I know that they bought it, but they are. Do I love it? I don't. I don't love it, and it does bother me. But at the same time, I don't look at the Dodgers and fault them for it, right? I don't look at Dave Roberts or the front office of the Dodgers and think, shame on you. Well, no kidding, they're going to do that. Why wouldn't they do that? And they're the second most valuable franchise in Major League Baseball. They have billions of dollars, and they always exceed their payroll expectations. And their end means they always, you know, meet expectations in the season. I wanted to see the Blue Jays win. I'll be honest. I didn't want to see the Dodgers win. And it's not because I dislike the Dodgers. I just really liked the Blue Jays story. I wanted to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. win a World Series for Canada. I wanted to see that team succeed. I didn't want to see the Dodgers win the World Series because I do think that it puts other teams at an unfair advantage. What player is going to say no to the most money they can possibly get? But again, that's a problem that if the league wants to fix, then they can. But otherwise, the Dodgers are doing nothing wrong, and you can't be mad at them. And yes, this might be the greatest Dodger team we've ever seen this season.
I just want to point out that Tyler Glasnow is their 4th starter.
I know. Isn't that wild? I covered him with the Rays for years. It's insane. Tyler Glasnow being your 4th starter means that you're going to probably run the table. I mean, that's wild. Tyler Glasnow's an ace on any other team.
It's insane. It's insane. All right, I got to ask you, I got so many friends that give me the business all the time. Got to ask you about your beloved Cubs. They're kind of in an interesting spot this year. Explain where they're starting out and what they want to get to by the end of the year.
Yeah, they are at an interesting spot. They've got a deep pitching rotation. They've got really, really good defense. And, you know, they got guys like Pete Crow Armstrong who just kind of electrifies you. But they need to focus, you know, on having that consistent offense, and they need to focus on having a good bullpen right now. But I do think that a starting pitching rotation like they have and a defense like they have can take them a long way. The offense will come, and we know the offense kind of comes and goes no matter what team you are, unless you're the Dodgers. You know, they added some experienced bullpen arms, and that's really, really valuable in this game. So I think that from what I've seen, they are favored, you know, to win the NL Central. But I also think that you can't ever count out the Brewers for that. Obviously, we saw, you know, what happened last season. So I think that they're in a position to do something special. Potentially win the NL, maybe make a deep postseason run. I would like to see it, right? And I know, you know, I'm supposed to be totally unbiased with all the teams, but obviously I have a soft spot for my Cubbies. So I would like to see that happen. And I think they can do that this year. I think that the offense, you know, that's probably one of my question marks for them right now. But I think that what they have put together so far and what we saw in spring training bodes well for them.
I know it was time. He's 36, but man, I'm going to miss Jason Hayward. I liked that dude.
I know.
I liked him.
He was kind of when you think of the Cubs, and their epic run, you think Jason Hayward. But it makes sense. You know, it makes sense. Why wouldn't he retire at this point?
He's one of the few people on the planet that's won a World Series as a Chicago Cub. So there you go.
Isn't that so special to be able to say? Like, I work with David Ross sometimes for Apple TV, and he just signed a deal with ESPN, and he's just, like, wonderful. But I remember watching the Cubs in 2016 when I was, like, just a young kid, basically, and I was just, like, so in awe of what they did, and now I get to work with David Ross. Like, it's wild. Younger me would have never thought.
What do we think of the United States at the World Baseball Classic and the way things ended up there?
Yeah, I know a lot of people have talked about that. I think the United States, they all obviously, okay, here's my take on it, right? I do think winning a World Baseball Classic means a lot more to guys on Team Venezuela and the Team Dominican Republic. That's just a fact. That doesn't mean that it doesn't mean something to the USA players, right? I think if anybody who's logical looking at the situation, they would say, okay, probably Team USA, if you were to ask all of their players, they would say we'd probably rather win a World Series than a World Baseball Classic. That doesn't mean they don't want to win the World Baseball Classic. That just means that growing up, a World Series meant more to them, right? For Team Venezuela and Team Dominican Republic, a World Baseball Classic meant more to them growing up, most of them, right? So when I went around and interviewed a lot of the guys, one of the guys that was honest with me was Julio Rodriguez. And he got a little bit of grief for it on Twitter, and I didn't like that because Julio just goes, you know what? The Mariners know I give 100% when I go out there. They know that I want to win a World Series, but I want to win a World Baseball Classic for my country. And what's wrong with him saying that? It doesn't mean that he doesn't want to win a World Series. Are you serious? It just means that for him, being from the Dominican Republic and winning a title for your country, oh my word, that means everything. So I don't think that the criticism was totally fair that people looked at Team USA and they said they look like they don't even care. They're different styles. The Team USA guys don't play with the same style that Venezuelan guys do. They don't play with the same style as the Dominican guys, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. That doesn't mean they don't care, right? Team Venezuela is doing all these dances in the dugout before the game. That's part of their culture. Like, they love doing that. It's not necessarily a part of their culture on Team USA, and that's okay. It doesn't mean they don't care. It's just different. So I didn't appreciate all of the slack that Team USA got. I understand what some of the outer perspective was and what it might have looked like. I get that, but it doesn't mean they didn't care. That's my take on it.
All right, last thing, I'm going to go right into your wheelhouse for the big finish here, Trisha. What does Curt Cignetti do for an encore?
Oh, I have been asked about that so much recently. And I'm like, you guys, like, it's literally way too soon for me to be thinking about, like, what I would do if we didn't win the national championship next year. Like, no. Like, I just, like, don't even want to think about that. I'm still not over winning the Natty, Jeff. Like, I'm just not. And I think, like, honestly, like, here's the thing. We got to be realistic, okay? You do not always go 16-0 and win a national title. So if IU fans enter this season and they're like, if we don't win a national title and we don't win the Rose Bowl, it's a failure. It's like, okay.
Ask Nick Saban how that works.
No, like, yeah, just like, don't even come at me with that. Don't come at me with that. Obviously, if they come out and have a horrible season, you're going to be like, what the hell, right? But, like, they also kind of killed it in the transfer portal. They have Curt Cignetti at the helm. Okay? That man works his butt off, and he wants to win more than anybody I've ever listened to speak in my life, right? And they addressed a lot of the concerns that they had with the guys that they lost. But I don't think it's fair to expect them to go 16-0 and win a national title. And, Jeff, I hope that at next year at this time you can replay this clip and you'll be like, Trish, they did it again. You were wrong. I'm going to be like, yes, I was wrong. I love it.
That's okay.
But I don't think it's fair to say that, but I do have high expectations for them for sure. I just think they're realistic.
All right. Here's all I know. Last Friday. It's coming up on the end of March, right? And yes, there's a lead story on ESPN SportsCenter that included Purdue because they were talking about the Purdue the weekend that was coming up. But then at like 37 minutes after the hour on SportsCenter, they did a whole 60 seconds on Indiana spring football. And there was no other teams mentioned. There was no other teams mentioned. We live in a world, Trisha, where SportsCenter does 60 seconds only on Indiana football.
It's so good. It's so good. And, like, younger me would have never believed you. I mean, it's just wild. I love this new reality we're living in, and I hope I never have to be I hope I never wake up from it, you know?
All right. So when can we hear and watch Trisha Whitaker next?
on Friday, we will be in Kansas City. We got the Royals and the Brewers in Kansas City. So I'm excited for that one because the Royals have a lot of really exciting players. And then obviously the Brewers, after what they did last year, who knows, maybe I'll eat a pancake on live television again with Pat Murphy, which is what I did last time. We'll see.
All right, you're my official baseball person for the rest of the summer, just so you know that.
Oh, I can't wait. Can't wait.
Have fun. Travel safe.
Thanks, Jeff. See ya.
Trisha Whitaker joining us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Do you think she's fired up for Indiana football? Do you think she's excited?
Just a little bit.
Trisha does not have to worry about finding energy anywhere. She has always been, first time I ever worked with her, gosh, I don't know, 8-9 years ago. She was doing TV here locally, and she's on it, man. She comes to work, she's ready to go. She brings a lot of enthusiasm, and she knows what she's talking about. She knows what she's doing, and it's fun to see her on a national stage doing the Friday night games at Apple TV, too. That's a lot of fun. I'm a big fan when people we know and like go do great things in life. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. All right, so we'll turn the page. There's baseball for you. All I know, James, again, I'm just going to reiterate again, and John would approve this, by the way. The Reds are 3-1, and they've won 3 in a row, and I'm here for it. And they play the Pirates tonight, and why can't they rack up some more wins against the Pirates this week of all teams? Let's go.
May as well start planning the parade right now.
I'm for it. I'll probably have morning show guys would say I'd have A.D. Mitchell as my parade marshal. A little fun at myself right there. I saw a lot of interesting things. This is a fascinating story to me and a sad story. We all saw Tiger Woods getting pulled over after he had his accident last week in Florida, right? And although he didn't blow anything on the breathalyzer, I think it's pretty clear that he was probably on some kind of pain medication. Hydrocodone, I think he had mentioned that he was on with the officers there. And let me tell you about hydrocodone, man. James, I told you about all the surgeries I've had in the past. I always get about 2 or 3 days of that stuff, and I get off it as fast as I can. Because let me tell you something. That stuff works.
Oh, yeah.
And it scares the heck out of me. Because everything, you just float, right? It's warm and you float. But then you read these stories of people get addicted to them, and it ends up killing them, and it just eats at you little by little by little. So every time I have a surgery, I have like a 48 to 72 hour rule. I do it, get through the worst part, and then get off it. And then I always have like a year later, I'll have like half a bottle, and then I find it, and I'm like, I better get rid of this. So then I get rid of it.
I'm fortunate enough that I haven't had too many. Like the only surgery that I can remember that I've had that I needed pain meds was I got my wisdom teeth removed. Huh. And yeah, maybe after they gave me like a week's worth of supply of whatever it was, and after 2 days I was done with it.
I don't think they really give you much of it anymore, which is probably a good thing.
Yeah, probably.
Probably a good thing. But yeah, that stuff is, I mean it when I say it's scary.
Mm-hmm.
It really is scary. And you hear, back in the day, stories of like Brett Favre had a big painkiller addiction for a long time. Many athletes who've had a lot of surgeries or are always playing through pain. It's not difficult to get addicted to painkillers, man. You got to be really, really careful. That's my PSA for the day, James. Get off those things as fast as you can before they get a hold of you.
Not a bad message.
Before they get a hold of you. But yeah, it's scary stuff. So anyway, I was talking with a buddy of mine who's a big golf fan and who's not I can't help you if you're not a Tiger Woods fan and you didn't live through the late 90s and the 2000s watching Tiger Woods just decimate fields week in and week out and do amazing things. And it was must-see TV, and you like Tiger, and then we all kind of were bummed out when the Tiger stuff happened, James. That was not fun for a lot of us to hear about. And he's just, you look at those pictures and you think of all the things that he's put himself through. Mm-hmm. But then you talk about all the injuries that he's not responsible for, and then that he's had all these surgeries. And I think it's clear that he's got some kind of painkiller addiction problem going. I think that feels fairly obvious at this point in time from the outside looking in.
It's a fair assumption.
And you would have thought that at 50, a guy of his stature, he'd be like the Jack Nicklaus or the Arnold Palmer, where they show up to tournaments and they'll play in the majors, and maybe they have a really great first round or a second round, and everybody gets all excited. And then because they're not young and fit like they used to be, the weekend starts to wear on them and they start to slide backwards on the leaderboard. I kind of thought that's who Tiger Woods would be, like the next great ambassador of the game. But Tiger's got issues, man. And he needs to get it fixed. And I told you at the beginning of the show, I'm a fan of people. I'm generally a fan of people. I want people to do well. Even people that I don't like, I'm okay if they do okay, if they're good people, right? As long as someone demonstrates that they're a good person or hasn't shown me that they're a bad person, I'm rooting for them to get whatever they can get out of life. Like, I'm not mad at college kids because they're getting money these days. It's there. Go get it. I am mad at people that are irresponsible with that kind of stuff. But getting back to the Tiger thing, it's become a sad story. My dad and I used to bond together on Sunday afternoons when Tiger was in the hunt, which was often. And we would watch those matches together. Or even when we were living in different states, we'd be on the phone, talk to each other a couple of times during that last round and afterwards. And it was like a touch point. You know, sports was always a touch, like many fathers and sons. My dad and I were always close. He was the best man at my wedding, always close. And sports is kind of something we bonded on. I mean, he used to take my brother and I to games as little kids, whether it was an old ABA game or an NFL game or college football games. My dad was always building things around that. So that's kind of what we grew up around together. And my dad and I had a great bond watching Tiger Woods play on Sunday afternoons. And I know my dad would be heartbroken at what Tiger Woods has become right now, because there was nobody who was a bigger fan of Tiger Woods than my dad.
And I think with Tiger especially, it's...
Except for Kevin Bowen. I made that mistake last week.
That's fair.
Never say you're a bigger fan of Tiger Woods than anybody else, because Kevin maintains he is the Tiger Woods guy.
I will not try and trump Kevin right there.
No.
I think with Tiger, though, it's so, I guess, disheartening because, I mean, he had that great moment in 2019. He came back. He won the Masters again. You thought, oh, this is a great comeback story. And now we're kind of back into the drama. We're kind of back into this kind of unsettling situation.
I just hope he gets it figured out. I hope he gets it figured out.
He needs to hire a driver. That's what he needs to do.
If truer words have not been spoken all week long, when you're worth what why is he driving anyway? Like, the greatest gift I've gotten from my two kids, who are now 16 and 17, or 16 and 18. I just got an 18-year-old now. They both drive now. I might, other than when I have to come by myself downtown to work, I let my wife drive. I don't care if I ever drive again.
Oh, yeah.
I don't mind driving. It's fine. I've done it all my life. I'm good with it. But if my kid wants to drive, here you go, buddy. I don't understand why Tiger Woods is still driving. I don't.
You and me both right there.
All right. If you want to check in on anything you've heard or seen or think, give me a shot on the text line at 239-1070. Be more than happy to read some of those off. Coming up in a moment, I had the great honor, and man, it's so much fun, and I'm glad. I don't know why they asked me to do it, but I'm glad they do, and I appreciate it. And I have a blast calling the 4A state championship games every year. But I can't wait to talk about what we saw this past weekend, what lies ahead, and a little bit more about what the Colts are doing and not doing with the great Greg Rakestro. That's next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
He's my best friend. He's my pal. He's my homeboy, my rotten soldier. He's my sweet cheese, my good time boy.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I love Mother Nature and I love weather, James. I talked about that kind of freak rainstorm that just happened for like 15 minutes, just dumped and moved on. The parking lot's dry again already. Like this, the weather can't make up its mind right now, and I'm here for that a little bit, but I'm ready for spring and summer. No question about it.
It's late March in Indiana, man.
Yes, a man who sees every square inch of Indiana every year. I'm convinced that over the 365 days each year, our next guest that joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline literally sees every square inch of Indiana at some point or another. It's Greg Rakestro joining us today. Greg, you staying home for a minute now that high school basketball season's over, or are you off to the next thing?
I am at parts unknown for 48 hours that still has decent cell phone range, so I am somewhere different in Indiana. So your lead-in was better than you thought it was. I'll be back in the station on Friday to work on soccer Saturday, and then it's over to Terre Haute for Indiana State baseball on Friday night.
Yeah, I was going to say this past weekend, though, boy, were we all treated to a tremendous day of basketball over at the Fieldhouse. Like, from the first game on, like, we had 3 really close games, one that stretched out a little bit in the second half, but unbelievable atmosphere, unbelievable players, and just so much fun. We are lucky, my friend. We are lucky.
I would say that 3.5 of those games played out by the way they thought it would. I thought that Bar Eve would win by about the margin which ending against Triton in the 1A game. That was a close game going to the fourth quarter when Bar Reeve then stretched that to a 10-point game. I thought 2A and 4A would go down to the last possession, which is exactly how it played out. And I want to make sure I give credit to New Haven. They probably gave Cathedral a better game than I thought they would. And again, that was a 10-point Cathedral win. That really wasn't a 10-point game the entire way. New Haven just kind of ran out of gas over the course of the last, say, 3 or 4 minutes of that game. But yes, kind of going into it, we thought, all right, I don't think there's many one-sided games. Maybe there's one. There was none. Those were all single-digit deficit games at some point in time in the fourth quarter, and all of us would sign up for that every year.
And the 4A game, like, it was Sybil, the woman with 8 million personalities. Every 4 minutes was a completely different game in that contest, Greg.
Well, you know what? The funny thing is that, you know, and we can get into the shot clock debate if you want to, and I think most people know what happened by now that Crown Point had the ball for about a minute over the course of 3 different possessions in the third quarter. You know, Carmel is a team that has always been the team that has kind of run the longest possessions locally. And I'd always joke, hey, when we're going to have the shot clock debate or the shot clock discussion, amazingly, it's the largest enrollment school in the state that is causing people to have this discussion. Again, it's 2 4A teams and one team's decision to hold the ball for a little bit that is spurring the shot clock discussion. Maybe in my brain, Jeff, because I hear the Hoosier soundtrack at so many tournament games across the state. That's what my brain's wired to at some point in time. But, like, as Crown Point is holding the ball, like, it was the same level of vitriol directed at Norman Dale in Hickory's opening game when he had 4 on the floor intentionally, not Fred Hoiberg style, but intentionally, in the 51-52 Hickory Husker season. It was that level of venom that was being shot at Clint Swan, except this time, you know, from the, from the Mount Vernon fans, and it ended up working out quite well for them in the end.
What was crazy, and I think this is an interesting story, it's why I continue on with it. What was crazy about holding the ball in that situation, he wasn't intimidated by Mount Vernon or afraid that they were going to run away with the game. His team had a 10-point lead at halftime. They came out and just started jacking up wild shots for the first 35 seconds of the third quarter. So he made a point with his team. The first time he did it, he's like, you know what? I'm going to take the ball out of your hands if you're not going to play the way we played in the first half. So I thought he was making him think about it, and I got that. And I'm like, okay, we're going to get back to it. But then the third time, if you talk to him after the game, the third time they did that, he's like, my guys were gassed, and I didn't want to make a substitution.
Right. You know, I literally said on the broadcast, and folks, in case you didn't recognize this, you're hearing a conversation between the man that had the statewide radio call in today's host and the statewide television call in this year guest. So we had unique perspectives from opposite sides of the floor during the game. I understood completely during the course of the first one, because I literally said the exact same thing. I said, Crown Point is shooting the ball way too fast. And literally Clint immediately took the air out of the ball the next possession. What I think he unintentionally did, and Clint's won 444 games, and he is a great guy and a Hall of Fame level basketball coach. The law of unintended consequences, though, kicked in. He can talk about his guys being gassed and not wanting to sub. I would counter that by saying he had the deeper basketball team. And I think his guys could go 1 through 9. That allowed Mount Vernon to not play their subs the entire second half. And knowing that those two teams played each other, and again, different scenario because it was the second game of the day when they saw each other back at the Hall of Fame Classic. But a big factor as to why Crown Point won that game, the girdle started cramping up at the end of that contest. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was going to do that at the end of a single game day. But what you did is you allowed the Mount Vernon staff to basically not have to use a sub the second half, because that's exactly what they did. Their bench did not play the entirety of the second half. And when you went back to that a second and third time, you basically brought Mount Vernon 3 free timeouts. And then let's add to the fact, this is the only game those guys, both sides, have played all year where they had media timeouts cooked in. So that shortened the game and shortened the rotation even further. So that would be the lone criticism that I would offer, is that to some degree it helped your team. I think it may have been more advantageous to the other team the way that it played out.
One more thing before we move on to other sports, but is it possible this NBA draft we have 3 Mr. Basketball Indianas drafted in the first 2 rounds for the NBA? Is that possible?
That is correct. So again, I think most would get this, but 2022 Braden Smith, 2024 Flory Badunga, 2025 Braylon Mullins. And I think Braylon's going. I think he's probably somewhere around 10 towards the back end of the lottery. I would think that both Smith and Badunga would be second-round picks. And so now if you're Flory, you got to decide, all right, am I better off, and I'm financially more stable, to stay at Kansas, play somewhere else at the major college level, and use my college eligibility? Braden Smith had that luxury. He's going to go. Somebody's going to take him, I think, early in the second round. And I really feel he's a 10 to 15-year NBA player, primarily as a backup point guard for somebody. But yes, Jeff, we could have 3 of them, and I think definitively we'll have 2 of them.
Good stuff. Colts and everybody else in the National Football League getting together over in Phoenix this week, and I know everybody in the NFL universe is down there covering that. But I started the show by saying, look, love this team, and I like Chris Ballard. I like him a lot. Like, I think he's a good dude. But what are we doing? I can't see one place where the Colts got better between the end of last year and now.
But I'm also not sure that he could have handled this any differently. And so I'm not, I'm not having a conversation. We can't have a conversation, but I'm not saying over the course of 9 years should have brought him back, whatever the case may be. But as I look at the moves that they made, I would have loved to see them go deeper and, get another pass rusher. What's not to say that the way the Ravens botch, things with Max Crosby and then got Trey Hendrickson, did that end up costing the Colts the guy that they thought they were going after? It may take some truth serum, for Chris to admit that, but I kind of get the idea that might have been kind of the ace up the sleeve, and through somebody else's mistake or mishandling of a situation, it comes back to bite the Colts in the backside. But I thought that you had to bring back Alec Pierce. You did that. I'm sure the market got a bit more accelerated for Daniel Jones. Probably the Colts had hoped it would, but you still had to bring him back. You did that. You didn't want to just kind of throw away Zaire Franklin and Michael Pittman, but you couldn't have Pitt play under that contract, and you still at least got something back for them when everybody knew that was a salary dump. And you also did right by 2 guys that were really good to your franchise, put them in winning scenarios in Green Bay and Pittsburgh, respectively, guys with you for the last 8 and 6 years. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you the Colts are a better football team than they were last year. I'm not sure they are, but I also think just kind of the way that circumstances played out and the way that the books were handled, I'm not sure Chris Ballard could have done it this time around any differently, Jeff.
But again, that's the position that they put themselves in too. I mean, that's the other side of that
Fair
coin
enough.
as
Right.
well.
And again, they put
look,
all chips in for Sauce Gardner,
yes.
and then injuries started happening, and what looked great on November the 1st didn't look great December the 1st. I understand.
And I tell people all the time, I was all in on the Sauce Gardner trade. I'm not going to sit back here and in retrospect and lie to people. I was like, okay, he's going for it, because they were 8-2, and Daniel Jones and that offense were producing, and so I got that. Yep. But then I think a lot of the things, what we learned as much as anything is as guys started to get hurt and there's a certain level where nobody can survive the number of injuries at the positions that they had. I get that, but they were just not a good football team absent some of those guys. And it was tough. It was tough to watch sometimes.
Correct. And then I will also tell you, look at how good the Seahawks looked in the Super Bowl, and the Colts with a guy that was off the couch for 4 days, led with a minute left to go in their building in mid-December. So it shows you that the margins are still not that great in the National Football League, which lean towards, all right, bring back the pieces you can. So we'll see how it plays out. But, again, the way that things played out in March, I'm not sure if I'm in that same seat, Jeff, that I would have done anything any differerly.
Yeah, no, I get all that stuff, but all the things you did before that.
Are they a better football team than they were in December? I'm not sure they are, Jeff, but just the way that it played out, I understand the moves that were made.
Well, nobody would be happier to be talking about 11 wins next year than I would be. It's tough to see right now. But maybe Daniel Jones comes back and he comes back on time and that offense can pick up right where they left off. That's what we need. And we'll see if that happens.
That's kind of what has to happen for this to work, right?
Yeah, no question about it.
For the sanity of the post-game show host, I hope that's what happens too.
Could be, is a long drive home or a short drive home? That's how that works. Wherever you're driving this week, take care, buddy. Stay safe, okay?
All right. You enjoying the day-night doubleheader? How you doing? On like hour number 5 or 6?
No, I did not do the morning. I slept in until 6:15 this morning, I'll have you know.
Wow, look at you.
Yes.
Well, I apologize for clearly not listening this morning. So.
Oh, that's okay.
And I'm sorry that
you get a break.
I will, we'll let people behind the curtain for the Wizard of Oz here. I was asked about doing the show today, and I'm sorry. I did take it personally, but I figured I could at least give you 15 minutes on the air. That's the least I could do.
You did me a solid, and I appreciate that. I also, since you're here too, I'm going to point out that I don't see after the last 3 games why the Reds aren't going to go 161-1.
That's exactly what I said when I left Section 512 on Thursday, Jeff. I said 161-1 still a possibility. Clearly, the big issue on Thursday was I was there. So I will avoid the ballpark as long as they keep winning. I'll gladly take one for the team.
Well, let's just beat up on the Pirates this week and keep adding to it. That's all. All right.
There you go.
Thanks, buddy. Enjoy it.
See ya.
He's the one, the only, Greg Rakestro, joining us here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Jeff Rickard in for JMV today. Coming up in a moment, I will get to some of the texts that have been flying in today. And I think, do we still have some phone calls over there, James? We'll do that. We'll take some of your phone calls and talk to the folks who've been patiently waiting for Greg and I to finish up our conversation. We'll do it next at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
Everybody freeze. Everybody down on the ground.
Well, which is it, young feller? You want I should freeze or get down on the ground? If I freeze, I can't rightly drop. And if I drop, I'm going to be in motion. You see?
Shut up!
Okay, then.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Cruising through a Tuesday afternoon here at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. I'm Jeff Rickard in for the great JMV today. He will be back tomorrow, and I'll be back getting up early again and doing the morning show with Kevin Bowen and James Boyd. And I know James has been out west for the owners' meetings. We're going to talk to James coming up top of the hour. Not you, James, the other James. In the meantime, though, we've got some folks on the line patiently waiting today. 239-1070. Caden, you're next up here at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. Welcome into the ride.
Hey, Jeff, first-time caller. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for making the phone call. What can I do for you today?
Well, let's talk about, first of all, Indiana University. Coach Signetti.
Oh, I don't know if you...
Congratulations, Coach Signetti. You finally won the program its first national championship. Can you please tell your fans to dial it down because you guys are not going undefeated this year? Let me be clear about that.
Are you a Purdue guy?
No, actually somebody worse, an Ohio State fan here,
buddy. I've got a fill-in board up in the morning that produces our show that's a big Ohio State guy.
Hey, at least you got a good fan of a great football team right there in studio. Got to give the man his due. Tip my hat to the guy. But Coach Signetti, you are going to lose at least maybe 1 or 2 games because you need to start letting the new guys come in. But also, a little word of advice, Coach Signetti, and I hope you're listening to this. A little word of advice I learned from an old fella a long time ago. He says, don't write your checks with your mouth that your rear end can't cash.
I think he cashed it, though, didn't he?
I'm talking about this season, Jeff, not last season.
So you're talking about the new checkbook. You're talking about the new checkbook, not last year's checkbook.
Exactly, Jeff. Get that straight through your head. But also, you have to remember Ohio State's a team that locks and reloads on defense and offense. So I would be careful about telling your fans to mess around with Ohio State fans because if you ever heard the saying, F around and find out, yeah, that's something you got to also keep in mind also there too. So just a little friendly word of advice to you guys and a friendly advice to Indiana fans because I know it's been blowing up on social media for the last few months, and it's made me sick, and I'm like, they need to get over it.
But they are the champ for another 10 months. They're the national champions of college football. It's just the way it is.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the plot twist, Jeff, and you're going to have to listen to this. Indiana's not going to be the national champions defending. Nuh-uh. See, here's the thing. That championship that Indiana has belongs to Ohio State, and rightfully belongs to Ohio State.
Not this past year.
National championship. That championship that y'all have right there in the football facility belongs to the guys at Ohio State and belongs.
Hey, Caden, I love you, and I appreciate the phone call. Thanks for calling in. Last time I checked, James, Indiana was taking care of Ohio State at the Big Ten Championship. Forget the national championship. They were taking care of the Buckeyes at the Big Ten Championship.
You know, Jeff, I think you may be right on that one.
I love the enthusiasm, Caden, but there's only one national champion in college football right now. It happens to be the Indiana Hoosiers. That's also what it is.
He kept framing his message as to Curt Signetti as if Curt Signetti's been the one on Twitter talking all of this trash. I don't think Curt Signetti is on Twitter talking any sort of trash. I don't think he's dumb enough to give anybody that much ammunition.
Nah. Caden, love your enthusiasm, but, dude, you got to win it back. You're the one talking right now. You got to win it back.
He sounds very confident that Ohio State's going to win it again next year.
He's got to go win it back.
Yeah.
Last time I checked over at Lucas Oil, Ohio State's blood, sweat, and tears is still there while Indiana moved on. And, well, Ohio State did go to the playoffs, but only Indiana survived everybody. Yeah. So it is what it is. That's, you can get mad. I get it to this day, James. Purdue fans come up to me and they're like, "How come you guys talk so much about Indiana football now?" Well, because they won a national championship. I don't know what you want me to say.
Also, the irony, I think, of an Ohio State fan telling people not to talk trash and to not get too big for their britches. I mean, come on.
That's why we love sports radio. Doug's up next at 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. Doug, welcome into the ride with JMV. What's up?
Thanks, Jeff. That's kind of tough to follow, and I'm going to change the subject.
But you will do it successfully. I know this.
Yeah. You did a fantastic job on the 4A game, and I wanted to personally say I really enjoyed listening
to
you do a play-by-play.
That was
and
fun.
It was the first time I'd ever heard you do play-by-play. I thought you did a fantastic job.
Well, thank you. Believe it or not, in my first half of my life and my career, that's all I did.
Oh, okay.
Then I got into more TV and talk show stuff. But anyway, go ahead.
Do you think you watch Mr. Basketball on the 4A game?
I watched the Gatorade Player of the Year, and I'll tell you this, if it's not him, the kid that he was playing, Dikembe Shaw, was unbelievable too.
He had a heck of a first half, didn't he?
He did.
I mean, the whole game he played, but first half, I mean, he literally carried his team.
Yeah, but I think probably Luke Ertl is probably Mr. Basketball, but there's two or three other guys you could make a case for, but I think it's probably Luke Ertl.
Where is the Crown Point kid? Has he committed to a college?
Yeah, Dikembe Shaw, he's going to University of Illinois, Chicago. And something tells me, I was talking to a couple of other guys in the arena the other night, I don't know how long he's going to stay at the University of Illinois, Chicago, because I think he's got big-time potential. He looks like a Division I player to me.
Yeah. I agree.
Like a big time.
Hey, job
I'm
well
talking
done.
major.
Thanks
player.
for taking the call.
You bet. Thanks. I appreciate the phone call, Doug. Again, had a blast, and thanks to Heath Shanahan and Greg Rakestro and everybody for making me feel so welcome over there. I've had the opportunity the last couple of 4A basketball games, and was humbled enough to be asked to do the football game in 4A. And it's been really fun for me because, James, a lot of people don't know this, but honestly, the first 15 years of my sports broadcasting career, I was a play-by-play guy.
Really?
I did play-by-play for the old Western Athletic Conference for Colorado State University. I did a lot of TV play-by-play for them. I did a lot of basketball play-by-play in the old Continental Basketball Association when that was still a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lot of fun. I've done a lot of Olympic festival-type tournaments and things like that. So somewhere, my kids were asking me about it the other day. I think I'm around 1,200 games, somewhere around that. But then as time went on, I got a job at ESPN Radio and Sporting News Radio as a talk show host. So I started doing more TV, and I started doing the talk show things, and this is where I've ended up, and I couldn't be happier with it. We moved here in 2013 because I was working at ESPN and Sirius XM satellite radio, and I could work anywhere. I had my own studio at home. And my wife got a fantastic job offer in Indianapolis, and she said, hey, could you work in Indianapolis? And I'd been to Indianapolis many times for games, and I said immediately, yes. It's one of the greatest sports cities in America, as I talked about at the beginning of this show.
Yes, you did.
And it was easy for me to come here. And I tell people all the time, I may not have been born a Hoosier, but I chose to become a Hoosier. And I had traveled here many times before moving here, was happy to move here. And even when I had taken a bigger programming job at Boston for a while, and I didn't really like that. That didn't fit me. Once I got up there, it wasn't my deal. So then I went from there to Charlotte, but we never moved from here. I commuted on the weekends all the time. And so we've had the same house for the entire time, whether the 2.5 years that I was not here, I was still here.
I didn't realize you were commuting from here to Charlotte that entire time.
Yeah. So it's a great city, and we've chosen to live here. We've chosen to raise our kids here. It's what they call home. We've already been notified by both kids that we're not allowed to ever sell our house. We'll see how that works out later on in life.
Hey, it's okay. I've told my parents the same thing about their house.
But it's a fantastic. I've met unbelievable people. Some of my best friends live here now. People that I'll have for lifelong friends are here. The community has always embraced my wife and I and our family. The schools that they've gone to have been terrific. I have had zero negative experiences in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I've been, like I said, I've been here for coming up on 13, 14 years now. So easy. Tell people all the time, easiest city in America to live in. I mean, you go to a Colts game. My family and I will go to a Colts game. Starts at 1 o'clock, kicks off at 1. We'll leave the house at 11:15. We're in our seats with plenty of time. we go home and we're home by 6. You kidding? That doesn't happen in the National Football League. Let me tell you, there are, I would say, more stadiums than not. It's a nightmare to get in and a nightmare to get out.
Well, I mean, just look at this most recent Super Bowl. Everyone was talking about how, number one, Santa Clara's an hour away from San Francisco, and none of the things were centrally located. There was no easy transportation. To get from the media event to a different media event, it takes an hour and a half.
Yep.
I mean, when the Super Bowl was here, you could just walk anywhere in 15 minutes. That's one of the things that made it, I think, one of the most underrated Super Bowl host locations since the Super Bowl has started.
It's why we've had this run where we've had an NBA All-Star game and a WNBA All-Star game, and we had the U.S. Olympic trials in swimming and diving. They happen here a lot, but they did it at Lucas Oil. They put a pool in the stadium, which was amazing. 100 out of 100 for Indianapolis when it comes to sports. I have no problem being here and happy that we've been here for as long as we have. All right, coming up in a moment, we will check in on the latest from the National Football League as they have their league meetings going on in Phoenix right now. James Boyd, my partner in the morning, will join us from that city in the desert next as we continue at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
James, you did not know this is probably one of my favorite songs ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a good one.
The great Don Henley. Had a chance to go see him and the Eagles year and a half ago when they were over at the Field House. My wife and I went. Steve Miller Band opened up for him, which was full circle for me because my first indoor concert was Steve Miller Band at the old McNichols Sports Arena in Denver, Colorado.
Wow.
I was a 14-year-old. My buddy and I, Brian Westbrook, had our parents drop us off and pick us up. Does that happen anymore where you feel like you could drop off a 13 or 14-year-old at a concert and then just go pick them up afterwards?
I know my parents would drop me off. Maybe not when I was 13 or 14 years old, but I don't know about modern day. I feel like
it's a different world now,
It's
man.
different for sure.
I was truly of the generation where they would your parents would be like, hey, whatever you do after school, as long as dad whistles and you come home within 5 minutes of him whistling, you're good. Nobody knew where we were, what we were doing. We were on our own, but we were okay.
Now everyone's got exact coordinates on where their kids are with all the smartphones and all that stuff.
We
nowadays.
literally were a generation where our parents told us just figure it out. We'll be home at 5. You guys figure out the rest.
As long as you don't come home dead or with broken bones, you're good.
No, my parents were much more involved in that. They were great. But how about this guy? I know he's always telling me about how he owns the household and he tells his parents how it is and what it's going to be. He joins us now on the Andy Moore Group Automotive Group hotline from the NFL meetings in Phoenix, Arizona. Good afternoon, James Boyd. Have we ever had a conversation after 5 o'clock before?
I don't know. Possibly at a couple of high school basketball games, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think that's good. So you're traveling safe, and I know you've been soaking in all the information out there. Have you learned anything about the Colts and their offseason and their plans that we didn't know before these league meetings started?
Not necessarily. I think a lot of this has been par for the course. They believe in Daniel Jones. They believe in Alec Pierce. You have holes at defensive end and linebacker, and they feel good about how their roster is constructed so far, but no real new tangible information here, which is a lot of, I think, reaffirming of what they've already done so far, and a lot of that starts with Daniel Jones.
Is the next step just the NFL draft, or is there another move, minor or major, to be made this offseason?
Yeah, Chris Ballard left the door open when it comes to free agency and kept saying, hey, we still have time to get some things done. But to me, one of the more revealing tidbits that at least Carly Ursay-Gordon said was, hey, we know the D-line has to get better, and she mentioned the draft specifically as an opportunity to perhaps fill a hole there in other places. So does that mean they could draft an edge rusher like they did last year? Possibly. But to me, again, there just hasn't been a lot of clear, definitive answers. And honestly, you probably can't give a lot of those just now with the stage of the offseason. So you say, hey, we got time. I'm thinking how much time?
Yeah. What are we going to do with Anthony Richardson?
Great question, because, I'm so glad you asked this. I sat next to Shane Steichen this morning, and I was like, hey, your GM yesterday said there's a possibility that Anthony could still be on this roster in 2026. Have you spoken to him, and what's latest on his status? And he said, well, we'll see what things are at. He didn't really go with the whole I've talked to him. And then Stephen Holder followed up and said, okay, but you guys are going to begin your offseason program April 20th. Are you going to tell him to stay home because he requested a trade? Will he be with the team practicing? And he was not committal about that as well and said they'll, wait and see how it goes. And he hadn't spoken to Anthony about that possibility just yet. So, again, when we talk to Shane about the quarterbacks, it is very glowing about Daniel Jones, pretty glowing about Riley Leonard. Then with Anthony, it's kind of just like, well, he's on the team.
Yeah, and it feels like for Anthony Richardson and his camp asking for a trade, I don't know if that's being unhappy with the Colts. It's more like there's no path for him to be a starting quarterback here as long as Daniel Jones is here, correct?
No, not in my mind, and I don't think there's a path right now for him to really be QB2. He will be coming back to compete to be the backup, not just be the backup, but to compete to be the backup, and that's just not a scenario that he wants to find himself in. So what does that mean moving forward? Like, if they don't find a trade partner, could they cut him? I don't know, but one of the things I thought was contradictory from yesterday's meeting with Chris Ballard was him saying, well, we could look to add a quarterback, but also Anthony could be a part of our future. I don't think you can have both. either you're adding a quarterback because you moved on from Anthony Richardson, or he's your third quarterback. So we'll see what time kind of reveals.
James Boyd, part of the Fan Morning Show, joining us here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline from the league meetings for the National Football League in Phoenix, Arizona today. Carly Ursay Gordon, I should say, spoke with everybody for about 20, 25 minutes the other day. Did you learn anything new or pick up anything from that conversation?
I think the biggest thing that really reaffirmed Daniel Jones to me was her saying, hey, this wasn't just a front office decision of us saying we believe in Daniel Jones. It was a team. And so it sounds like he's gained a lot of support within the locker room beyond just Alec Pierce, and she held that in a very high regard. And when it came to making sure that he was retained as their quarterback. So that was the big one. And then beyond that, I think it's just how much do you believe in what you saw last year? And the money quote that she gave was, well, I view it like it's a movie. That we hit pause at 8-2, went through some bad stuff, had some bad points in the movie, but we can still kind of have that good ending, that fairy tale ending. I'm paraphrasing there, but that's basically the gist of what she said. And so I found that kind of fascinating because on one hand, you want to believe that, yeah, what you saw, 8-2, hit pause, you can come back and be better. But we know sports can be cruel, man. And in particular, when it comes to coming back from an injury like an Achilles, I don't know if I can believe that the sequel is going to be much better for Daniel Jones.
So I said this earlier in the show, and we've talked about it on the morning show before, sort of, but I'll put it to you right now. When I look at what's happened between the end of the season and where we are today, on the last day of March in 2026, I could arguably say that the only place in the starting lineup that the Colts might get better in 2026 is I expect Tyler Warren to be better in year 2 than he was even in year 1. Outside of that, who's going to be better position by position for this team starting the year?
That's a very good question. And honestly, me having to think about it kind of hard probably gives you the answer. I mean, I don't know necessarily if your defensive line is going to be better because you haven't, in my opinion, adequately addressed adding another edge rusher for that group. When it comes to your linebackers, you don't know who's going to start there. When it comes to your secondary, I will say there you could be better given health. Like if Javarius Ward is healthy,
fair.
Sauce Gardner is healthy, that's good. But yeah, when you look at like adding outside pieces, Jeff, I'm not necessarily seeing it with this group.
Yeah, because I look at like wide receiver Nick Westbrook-Akini. He's a fine NFL receiver. He certainly belongs in the league, but he's not Michael Pittman Jr. now, is he?
No, and I do think that might be an easier hole to fill because we were talking yesterday with Chris Ballard and even Shane today. Josh Downs will get more opportunities. And Tyler Warren, as you mentioned, he will ascend. And so maybe that can offset some of the targets that you lose with Michael Pittman Jr. But also, he was a good blocker. You don't just replace that, as easily as you would like sometimes. So that's a factor you have to consider as well. Do you play with more 2 tight end sets where you don't have that third receiver on the field like a Michael Pittman Jr. out there? So those are all scenarios. And honestly, Jeff, I don't worry too much about the offense outside of Daniel's health because I think that Shane has proven that he can make a competent offense work as long as a quarterback is just kind of okay. But defensively is where I have a lot of issues. I just feel like they have so many holes that they don't have enough pieces to maybe fill it with.
Yeah, the Colts, when I look at them right now, like there's a range that they could be in, right? If everything goes perfectly and they stay healthy, I could see them winning 11 games, James. But if things don't go well and they don't stay healthy, I could see them winning 7 games.
Yeah. And honestly, I think last time we took the line, Jeff, it was 8.5, which is right on par for the Colts. And so they're banking on being able to build on this team. And Chris Ballard said yesterday, hey, I can't sit up here and say we're going to go 12-0. We're going to automatically start winning all these games. But you brought this team back. You kept this GM. You kept this coach. You kept this quarterback because you all believed that this could be a contending team. That's the bottom line. And if you're not in contention this upcoming season, meaning winning the division title, making the playoffs, and things of that nature, then what did you run it back for? And I get that you changed the roster. You're not running it back, verbatim. But in essence, you still kept a big part of this core together to say, we believe in this. And if you don't have anything to show for it by the end of this upcoming season, then I have to question, should some guys still be around? Now, granted, Ballard's also going into the final year of his contract, and for the first time in his career with no extension.
Yeah. James, the other thing, the big news today was about officiating, right? And it's like a 1-year deal that they're talking about because they may or may not have regular officials available when the season starts. So they're kind of protecting themselves against horrific calls already, right?
Yeah, and I have to read more about it, Jeff. I was buried in Colts stuff, but yeah, I understand that. I believe it's also like some eye in the sky stuff where you would be able to have like replay assist stepped in and make a call for something that's, very big point in the game or something like that. But it does sound like the NFL needs officials, man. They're neglecting that part of the game. And so when we get out here, come September, and they're playing real games for real money and real consequences, and you have potentially, Division III refs trying to ref these games, you get what you pay for. And the NFL is loaded as they are. I think they need to just pay up and get the best officials you possibly can.
All right. So are you on the move tonight? You're going to be back for the show tomorrow morning. When do we get to see you again in person?
I'll be back Thursday. I actually tried to leave earlier, but my flight would not let me change it. That is a true statement. So I'll be out here until tomorrow. I'll be back on the show Thursday and Friday. Looking forward to seeing everybody. But, look, I'm not complaining. I was at a party last night, Jeff. That was probably more than my entire existence ever. And that's what I mean about these referees. I was at a party last night, Jeff, with sushi and Wagyu steak and drinks galore, and they're telling me they can't pay officials. Come on now.
You remember the great Gil Brandt, right? He was Mr. NFL for the longest time. Well, Gil, when I was at Sporting News Radio, kind of adopted me. And every time we'd go to the Super Bowl, because we were working with him on some shows, he would take me into all the league parties. It's insane what a party is at that level. It's insane.
Yes. My credential has stayed on since I've been at this hotel, Jeff, to make sure I don't get arrested for trespassing.
I love it. And have you found the Phoenix version of the Southern California jug of beer?
I have not. A lot of water these days out here. I'm a non-drinker, but it's been good. It's been fun. We've got to see a lot of friends that from around the league and people we've had on our show often. So it's been good to, reconnect. All
right. Keep an eye on Holder. Make sure he and Chappie stay out of trouble, okay?
All right. Sounds good, man. I'll see you soon.
Thanks. There's James Boyd, a member of our show in the morning, the Fan Morning Show, 93.5, 107.5 The Fan. He works at The Athletic as well. That's kind of his full-time gig. And kind enough to join us here on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, which leads me, I saw this during the break, and I got to get back to it. I don't know if you saw this, James, about a week and a half ago. One of my favorite headlines of the year, and it was basically about a quadruple amputee professional cornhole player that had been arrested in a shooting.
I did see this, yes.
And just that headline, you're like, wait, what? There's like a million questions, right? I have a follow-up on that today.
Oh, really?
And today's headline reads, Cornhole pro argued over guns, drugs before shooting, police say. This is from La Plata, Maryland. I'd never heard of La Plata, Maryland before today.
Either have I.
An argument over drugs, guns, and what's the other thing that we argue over?
Am I supposed to know this?
Yes. Drugs, guns, and a woman.
Oh,
that's what we argue over, right?
Gotcha. Okay.
That's what we argue. An argument over drugs, guns, and a woman allegedly preceded a quadruple amputee cornhole player and his fatal shooting of a passenger in his vehicle last week. That is according to a court document that's been obtained by ESPN. Dayton Weber, who previously competed as a pro in the American Cornhole League, allegedly shot and killed Brad Wells on March 22nd while driving his Tesla through southern Maryland. The two passengers in the backseat of the vehicle, who were not identified in court records, told police that Weber and Wells were in a heated argument prior to the shooting. Weber, now facing felony murder and assault charges, he's due to appear at a bond hearing Wednesday. The case has raised eyebrows and drawn international headlines over the past week, with many wondering about the logistics, like most of us. Like, how does it work?
I will say, you said he was driving a Tesla.
Yeah.
So that does have a self-drive mode. So that could answer at least one of the questions of how he was driving while also shooting without any limbs.
Well, here's what we're learning now. How does it work? What are the logistics of a quadruple amputee shooting a passenger while driving a car? A YouTube clip of Weber loading and firing a handgun has subsequently racked up hundreds of thousands of views. So apparently he's developed some sort of method and way. I've not seen the YouTube video, of loading and firing a weapon. Wells and Weber were born in the same month. They were friends who enjoyed hunting and motocross. Motocross, I should say. They also apparently dated the same woman who told TMZ. Of course, the woman told TMZ, right? I mean, that's the other part of the story. There's clearly a TMZ tie-in here somewhere. The woman told TMZ over the weekend that she briefly dated Wells after spending roughly 4 years with Weber. A 2024 court record Weber filed also references her relationship with Wells. It's not immediately clear whether she's the woman referenced in the argument that the witnesses told police preceded the shooting. She will not reply to multiple messages from ESPN.
I've got that YouTube video up here right now. I mean, he actually does.
How would you describe it?
He reloads the gun and then he starts shooting it. And I mean, he's just using, what he's got. He must have enough, I guess, dexterity with it somehow to be able to pick it up and pull the trigger.
So it gets better, though. According to court records, Weber, and when I'm just saying the story itself, right? This is clearly sad that someone lost their lives. I'm not making fun of that. It's just the facts of the case are startling.
It's a unique one, to be sure.
According to court records, Weber allegedly shot Wells while driving, then asked the two passengers in the back seat to help him remove the body. Hey, I don't know what you guys are doing, but can you give a brother a little help up here?
Well, I mean, it's hard enough for him to shoot the gun. The body may be a little bit too much.
Wells' body was later found in the yard of a brick house about 10 miles away. Weber, meanwhile, was located a few hours later in Charlottesville, Virginia, where he had stopped to seek treatment at a hospital for an unknown ailment. So he wasn't even feeling that well that day.
Well, yeah, I mean, he just killed somebody. He may have had a little tummy ache after.
Man. That's like straight out of like a Netflix series movie, right? Isn't that straight out of Ozark or something like that?
It
right?
does sound like something out of that. I mean, the initial headline, because I remember John and I talked about it, and we could not figure out the logistics of how he did it. I mean, that headline, every following word, every succeeding word, is not really one you expect to see.
But okay. First of all, you start with quadruple amputee. And if there's someone out there that maybe can educate me, I'm here for it because I just don't understand logistically. Quadruple amputee that A, is driving a Tesla, B, has a firearm, gets in an argument, and while driving, takes a loaded firearm, shoots a dude, realizes he's killed him, looks in the back seat at the other two passengers and like, hey, can you help me out here? And then it's got to get rid of the body. My brain is exploding right now.
And I will say, in that YouTube video, yes, he does manage to reload the gun and fire off a couple of rounds. He doesn't do it very quickly, though. I mean, it takes some time. So it must have taken some time for him to get the gun out during the argument.
Well, I mean, maybe they were not of right mind because it does say they were arguing over alcohol and drugs and women.
That could be very true right there.
Drugs, guns, and a woman. That's what they were arguing over. It's just, there are just so many questions from driving the car to shooting a guy to then getting rid of his body. There's just a lot going on there. And the fact that he's like a former professional cornhole player. Like Seth Rogen, in all of his stoned glory, sitting in a room on the Warner Brothers lot, couldn't think up that plot, could he?
I feel like it would be dismissed as a little bit too far-fetched.
Even Seth Rogen would be like, no one will ever buy that.
And maybe even a little bit bad taste.
You know Elizabeth Banks, the woman that hosts Press Your Luck, she was in Pitch Perfect.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, my wife went to college with her. They're in the same sorority.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They didn't really know each other all that well. My wife was a senior. She was a freshman. But my wife remembers her always being like a very bubbly, big personality. Anyway, she made a movie a couple years ago called Cocaine Bear.
Oh, yeah.
And that was based on a true story.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Where a bear got into a big stash of some abandoned cocaine and just did what you would expect a bear on cocaine to do.
Now, I think she did embellish it a little bit. I don't think the whole thing was as crazy as the real story.
This, though, where would you even embellish this?
I don't know.
How would you take this story and make it bigger and more unbelievable? I don't think you could. And I'm just fascinated that we're learning more and more about it But again, it's the logistics. Just the headline, the original headline itself. Quadruple amputee, comma, former professional cornhole player arrested for murder in shooting. And then, as if that, immediately you're going to go read that story, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then you find out the dude's driving a Tesla.
The Tesla had to have been in self-drive mode. I would.
Was the gun in self-shoot mode too?
That's a fair question. Yeah.
You saw the video. He's getting it done, right?
He got it done. It wasn't very quick, but he did get it done.
Dude, that's crazy to me. That's just absolutely nuts to me. Oh man. Oh, here we go. Jeff, Mike from Martinsville here. There are YouTube videos of this guy playing cornhole and shooting a 9mm gun. Look it up. I'm going to. I want to see him play cornhole too. Like, does this guy immediately, if he's convicted, does he immediately become like a little prison legend dude?
Well, it would kind of be like, what was the South African runner, Blade Runner, or whatever his name was, Oscar Pistorius or whatever his name was? It would kind of be like that, I would assume.
Probably. Man, oh man, oh man. Oh, getting a lot of feedback on one of our callers too. Not too long ago. I think it was Caden, the Ohio State
fan. Yeah.
Yes.
Real popular in the chat.
Yeah. Kyle says that OSU fan is the perfect example of the cesspool that is Twitter. As Twitter comes, I don't know, Caden, he seemed like a reasonably happy guy.
He was upbeat for sure. Maybe a little bit delusional, but upbeat.
Man. I always tell people though, like, anytime you see these crazy stories, and we're talking about this crazy story with the cornhole player, the quadruple amputee cornhole player, but all these crazy stories when you see athletes getting in trouble, I always say that there's 4 elements that if any 3 of these 4 elements are involved, it's bad news for the athlete. And the first one is it's after 1 o'clock in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Almost all these stories for athletes are after 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Guns is the second element. Drugs. And now that you've learned this, what's the 4th element?
Women.
Any one of those, if you have 3 of those 4 present at the same time in proximity with a professional athlete, you got trouble brewing. Now, I'm sure they get away with it a lot of times. But every time you read one of those stories of an athlete getting in trouble, 3 of those 4 are almost always involved. Definitely 2, but almost always 3. It never fails. And I don't know why that is, but it just goes that way. Yeah, a lot of Indiana people going 16-0, baby, scoreboard. That's the whole thing. You can't call up 2 months after the national championship game and tell us how great Ohio State is when the last time we saw them playing on the same field as Indiana, they were losing over at Lucas Oil Stadium.
You also can't tell Indiana fans that they're getting a little bit too, I guess, arrogant was what he was going for. And then at the same sentence say that the national championship that Indiana won actually belongs to Ohio State, who lost to Indiana in the Big Ten championship and then lost in the playoffs and didn't even see Indiana again.
Yeah, there's a lot of shut that guy up, he's delusional. I mean, he lit up the text line. I will say that. He has animated it. Oh my goodness gracious. The text line, by the way, like Twitter and the internet in general, generally undefeated. Can't read all the texts that come in.
Oh, absolutely not. No.
But there's usually some pretty good stuff. And then you actually have like a real sports question too. Dave said, out of the 4 in the Final Four, who do you consider blue bloods? Arizona, when Lute Olson was there, was considered a top elite program. I don't know that they were considered blue bloods. UConn at this point in time, if you date all the way back to the beginning of the Jim Calhoun era, over the last 30 years, they keep winning a lot of national championships, man. They did it with Calhoun. They did one with Kevin Ollie, and now they've got 2, maybe working on 3 with Danny Hurley. I kind of think UConn is considered a blue blood, certainly a modern blue blood at this point in time. Michigan, they've had runs in the tournament. But I'd say of the 4, maybe UConn at this point in time. I don't know. I'm going to end the text segment with this one. You ready, James? John says, who can an unarmed shooter shoot somebody? Or how? He said who, but he meant how. How can an unarmed shooter shoot somebody? Sorry, I'll show myself out.
That's a dad joke right there. Come on.
Yes, that is a dad. I'm here for it, though, John. I appreciated that joke. All right. We'll do a little thing that I like to do coming back in a minute. There's some headlines today. I'll have you read the headlines, and I'll give you my reaction to those because I think there's some pretty interesting ones that we need to get to.
Sounds good.
We'll do that next. It's the Ride with JMV. Jeff Rickard sitting in for him today. It's 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
The Ride with JMV.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Good job today, James. I know JMV likes to do his own music most of the time. You've done a nice job today.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm digging it anyway. I'll be back on the Fan Morning Show tomorrow morning with Kevin Bowen. James Boyd continues to be out in Phoenix for the NFL meetings, but we'll have you ready to go bright and early at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. By the way, the one and only Gritty checking in today, too. She has a question, James. She just wants to know if Caden, was that Ohio State fan drunk or high?
My guess is both. That was my answer to her. As I said,
I think he was just an overzealous OSU fan is what it felt like. You can imagine. And look, even the Purdue fans are checking in, too.
Is there a difference between being an overzealous OSU fan and being drunk or high?
I'll let you answer those. Okay? I will let you answer those. But yeah, I've even heard from a few Purdue fans. We may get to some of that before the end of the show as well. We've been hanging out today. It's been a relatively light sports day in Indianapolis. Pacers do not play tonight. If you're like me and Rakestro and Bowen, the Reds play the Pirates later on this evening. That'll probably take up some of my bandwidth when I get home tonight. And then we get ready for the Final Four coming up this weekend. And I'll be honest with you, I got used to having Purdue play every day or every other day after the Big Ten tournament when they played every day and then every few days the first 2 weekends of the NCAA tournament. I was digging that, and I was all into the high school tournament, obviously, and that concluded last Saturday. So I actually did sleep in past 7 o'clock on Sunday, believe it or not.
Wow.
I didn't even get home till after midnight after the game. And then this morning, filling in for John today, I let Mark Dykton and Kevin Bowen do their thing this morning, and I slept all the way into 6:15 today. So I feel great today. I've actually slept. This is fantastic.
6:15. Wow, that's so late.
Right, and then the Pacers go tomorrow. It's a late start for them, so I don't know if I'll see the last. I'll be honest with you. I do this a lot. I see a lot of the fourth quarters for the Pacers at 5 o'clock in the morning.
That's fair.
I just tape it and watch it in the morning. But the thing is, when I get in at 7, it's fresh. Like I just saw the game. They will play the Bulls starting at 8 p.m. tomorrow night, and they have a couple of games on the road. The pregame starts at 7:30 there, and then Friday they'll be at Charlotte. That's a 7 p.m. start with the pregame at 6:30 on that one. And then here's the thing about the Pacers, too, before we get to some of the headlines. I was, every morning I check the other standings, how the other teams that are trying to tank for the bottom do, right? Mm-hmm. Pacers are now tied for the worst record in the NBA. They don't outright have it at this moment in time. They are tied with the Washington Wizards at 17-58. It's still, when I say that out loud, it's stunning that in the third week of June, the Indiana Pacers were about an hour and 15 minutes of real time away from winning an NBA championship. And now on the 31st of March, they are 17-58. And I get how we got here. I understand what's going on. I've said this repeatedly in the morning for those who've not heard that because you're smart enough to sleep in. I get it. I understand what the Pacers are doing. I understand why it's important. I get it. And they're doing the right thing. I get it. It's hard though, man. Mm-hmm. There's nothing better in life than winning. There's nothing better. Oh, but Jeff, they're winning in the long run. Well, maybe. I just remind people, if you're one of the bottom 4 teams, you have a 52% chance, which means there's a 48% chance that they end up picking 5 through 9, which they don't get the pick anymore. So just think about that. But right now in the race for the bottom, Wizards and Pacers are tied at 17-58. Brooklyn's just ahead of them at 18-57. And then there's one team you got to keep an eye on out west. Sacramento's 19-57. And I kind of feel like watching the Celtics since Jason Tatum's come back, kind of feel like that might be the team to beat. You can't go to sleep on Oklahoma City. They've already won 60 games. They're doing their thing. San Antonio could be a thorn in their side. I get that. I don't think that the Nuggets can win the NBA championship, but that's one team nobody wants to play in a 7-game series with Jokic and Murray. I don't think they can win 4 series in a row, but I know people like Detroit right now. But right now, if I had to choose, I'd probably say Boston and Oklahoma City. But don't sleep on San Antonio or the Nuggets. And the Lakers have been playing really good basketball lately, too.
At the very least, watching the Celtics, I mean, as a Pacers fan, it kind of got to give you a little bit of hope for Halliburton watching Tatum and how he's played since he's come back.
That's why I watched them, yeah. That's why I've been keeping an eye on him. All right, let's do some headlines, James Adams. What do you got for me today? What's happening on the World Wide Web at this point in time?
Well, first up, we have another update on the Tiger Woods scenario that we were talking about earlier. This via ESPN. Tiger Woods told authorities that he was looking at his phone before he crashed his car.
That's what I'd go with.
Yeah.
That's what I'd go with because he was 0-0 on the breathalyzer.
Refused a urine test.
Didn't give him any kind of urine test or blood test. And they're going to say, the officers are going to say, he was slurred speech.
Glassy eyes.
Glassy red eyes. His excuse for not being able to move very well, being off balance, will be the injuries that he's had and all those kinds of things. What if he just gets cited for driving in an unsafe manner because he was looking at his cell phone? That's probably for him the best possible outcome it could be, right?
I understand exactly why he is doing it. Now, I will say I did read somewhere, I don't know if it was in this article or another one, that I think he admitted that he had taken some pain meds earlier that day.
He did admit that.
And they found hydrocodone or something, a couple pills in his pocket.
That led to the discussion we had earlier in the show about everything, too.
Yeah.
So if I'm a judge, I'm going to fine him whatever the fine amount of him is. It does no good to throw Tiger Woods in jail. There's no point in that. You fine him what you're going to fine him, and you say, you're done driving, dude.
Suspend his license.
You're done.
Yep.
And if you do, and if I catch you driving again, you are going to spend time in the county pokey.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There's no other possible way right now. That's how I read it. He'll get a fine, and he'll probably have his license suspended, and they'll tell him, if you do this again, they'll put him on probation. You do this again, I'm going to throw you in jail.
Yeah. I mean, that may be what he needs. I mean, I don't want to downplay addiction or anything like that because it's a serious thing, but at a certain point, you got to have some personal responsibility. And
we're talking about multiple incidents now, though.
Yeah. And it's not like he's some blue collar worker who got hurt on a job site, is living paycheck to paycheck, has to drive, can't afford a driver. He's a millionaire, however many hundreds of times over.
He may have made it back to billionaire status.
I mean, you can afford a driver, my guy.
See what you can always trust the web, right?
Oh, absolutely.
For everything, no matter what it says.
Perfectly trustworthy.
All right, I'll look up Tiger Woods' net worth real quick. $1.49 billion.
Oh, wow. I think he can afford a driver with that. I think he can make it work.
We had a texter. I'll have to go back and find it. Was talking about Tiger as well. I don't want to say it wrong. Oh yeah, Kevin from Brownsburg said a driver for Tiger is an extra set of eyes and ears that he might not want to hear and see certain things. If you catch my drift, I can't dismiss that, Kevin.
Yeah, certainly. If this was 10, 15 years ago, yeah, I could absolutely see that. Yeah. Absolutely.
Oh, Kentucky Cliff, he was digging Trisha Whitaker.
Oh, she was great.
He said, that is one cool lady. Have her on more often. I will. She's going to be my baseball guy or baseball girl, I guess, in the mornings.
She's great.
I used to, when I was out in Boston, I would run into her at Red Sox games every now and then. She's got it going on, man. She's doing that big national broadcast on Friday nights with Apple.
She's doing a lot of stuff
now.
Yeah,
she's terrific. Happy for her. She's a good person, too. I like her. What else do we have for headlines? What are the other headlines we got going on today?
Next headline, Mark Cuban says he regrets selling the Mavericks to the Adelson and Dumont families.
Can you imagine doing all the things that Mark Cuban did with that franchise? Like when he bought them, they were just another franchise, right? And he invested time and money, and he made them cool, and he made them into but under his leadership, his ownership, they won an NBA championship. Remember back in the
with Dirk, great run.
Dirk Nowitzki, it was terrific. And then they were always at there fighting, and then Dirk was a terrific guy, and then they went and got Luka and everything like that. And to look and see what Adelson and the other owners have done with that, I mean, can you imagine? Let's say you buy a house, and at a certain point, you're like, you know what? Kids are gone. I got to move out of this house and move and do something different right now. So you sell your house, and then you're back in the neighborhood like a couple years later, and you're like, oh, you know what? Hon, let's go drive by that house real quick and see what it's looked like, see what's going on. And you drive up, and your beautiful, pristine house has now got like weeds in the yard. There's stuff, there's weeds coming up through the cracks. The windows haven't been washed in forever. There's dirt all over the sidewalk. The flowers are wilted, and you're everything you did to make that a beautiful, pristine place to live is just gone. That would be heartbreaking, wouldn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, in this scenario too. I mean, because Cuban still has a pretty good sized stake in the franchise. He's not a majority owner anymore, but I think he still owns a good amount of the franchise. And I think he, in the article, he says that he initially assumed that he would still have some sort of influence, some sort of say in how the organization is run. And he's just been frozen out essentially since he sold it.
Crazy. Yeah, I'd regret that too.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially after the Luka trade. Oh, absolutely.
What was interesting though, I was reading some of that story earlier today before we started the show, and he said, it was getting to the point in time where my kids are starting to get older, and they were going to be wanting to be a part of running the team or learning how to do things and working for the team. And he said, I didn't want that, because let me tell you, when you own a team, the things people will say to you and constant criticism, and you're a bad person, or you're bad at this, you're bad at that. He goes, I don't want that for my kids.
And that's fair. That's a fair
I don't think
mindset.
any of us want that for our kids.
Yeah.
So, all right. Any other headlines that we're thinking about today?
Last one is Patriots coach Mike Vrabel does not dismiss the A.J. Brown trade talk.
See, that's a team. This pains me to say this. This hurts. Did you ever see the movie Wonder Woman?
Oh, yeah.
You remember at the very beginning when he's captured by the Amazons, Chris Pine, and they put the golden lasso around him, and they're trying to get information out of him, and he's trying to resist, and it's painful for him to even speak because he doesn't want to say what he has to say.
It forces it out of him.
This is how I feel what I'm about to say. Like, it hurts. Unlike the Colts, it looks like the Patriots are a team that's going all in.
Oh, yeah. They look like they are back, and they are going to be back for a while.
They went out and got a coach. I have no idea what the Titans were thinking when they fired Mike Vrabel. No idea whatsoever. They go out and they get a coach that helps turn that thing around, gets the attitude right. I hate saying this about the Patriots. It pains me to say the Patriots are doing things right. But you know what? They're doing things right.
Yep.
And you turn around, and they're like, we might be all in on A.J. Brown. They're going to go and get Drake May weapons.
Oh, yeah.
And with Mike Vrabel, they're going to be a tough team, and they'll probably be a pretty good defensive team, too. So get it together, Colts, because I don't want to live in a world where we see the Patriots winning Super Bowls again.
The Patriots, like, it is so frustrating, like you said, because in the time span that the Colts have spent being mediocre, which is over a decade now, the Patriots have won a Super Bowl, sucked, 4-12 or whatever that season was, and now rebuilt and gone back to a Super Bowl. And the Colts are still mediocre. They are still exactly where they've been for the last decade. And the Patriots had, like I just said, they rebuilt and now they're back.
Like I said, it's hard for me to say nice things about the Patriots.
I'm in that boat too. I am absolutely in that boat too. I can't stand the Patriots.
But they're doing what you want your team to do, though. They went and got their franchise quarterback. They didn't miss him when they had a chance, did they?
No, they went out there and got him.
And now they're trying to build up around him. I felt like I just ate vegetables as a little kid. I really do. All right, we'll be back to wrap this whole thing up in a moment. It's Jeff Rickard in for John today. It's The Ride with JMV at 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan. And coming up next, your chance to win tickets to a Final Four event. I'll tell you all about it in a moment.
The Ride with JMV.
Sis boom ba. Sis boom ba. Describe the sound made when a sheep explodes.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I have not heard the Johnny Carson liner there before.
Oh, really?
No, that's new to me. How about that?
It's one of my favorite Carson moments of all time, actually.
Well, there you go. Reminder to, if you're going to be traveling around downtown later on this weekend, you can look up online. There's a place that tells you all the street closures that are going to be taking place once we get to the Final Four. I know Meridian is going to be closed between like St. Clair and down that area for, I think, the 2nd through the 5th. So good thing we don't have to go down to the old studios. It'd be tough getting around there, man.
No kidding.
Be a little too close to everything. So just before you go this weekend, check and find out what's open so you save yourself a lot of aggravation, because there's a bunch of them. I won't go over all of them right now. In fact, on the morning show, I think later this week, I will have Matt Baer, the traffic guy, in. He'll explain all of it to us as well. We're looking forward to that. Right now, if you would like to, and this is really fun, I've seen this before, the three-point shooting and slam dunk contest from for State Farm, the college slam dunk and three-point contest is happening at Hinkle Fieldhouse this Friday, April 3rd. I'm going to give you a chance to win it right now. A pair of tickets to go see that event at Hinkle Fieldhouse coming up on the 3rd. Text me the word dunk, D-U-N-K, dunk, at 239-1070, and we will get you a pair of tickets to go see, again, the State Farm College Slam Dunk and Three-Point Contest over at Hinkle Fieldhouse, which is a lot of fun. Maybe taking my youngest, my 16-year-old, may want to go there. So that might be kind of fun, too. So dunk. Just text the word dunk to 239-1070. We've given away several pairs of tickets this week, and if we choose you from the random list that pops up, you'll be on your way. We'll contact you. We'll let you know, and we'll get all your information, and we'll go on from there. We'll also remind you that now is a great time, if you're near your computer, to go to 1075thefan.com, 1075thefan.com, and register to get your spot in the 2026 golf outing presented by Franciscan Health. That'll be on April 30th at Legends Golf Club down in Franklin, Indiana. It's going to be a lot of fun. Proceeds benefit the Franciscan Health Foundation. We're all going to be there. James, you going to stop by before you head up to work here? Are you going to have a chance to do that or not?
I am not expecting I'll be able to, but I'll be gladly here, ready to help John with the show.
Put your name down as wanting lunch, and I'll take your lunch as well. I'll get an extra lunch out of it.
I will gladly take a free lunch.
You can bid on one-of-a-kind experiences, sports memorabilia, a whole lot more at the silent auction. It's going to be a lot of fun. Compete in multiple hole-in-one contests, a long drive contest, and closest to the pin on one of the holes, we've arranged with our buddy Kim Henderson through Mizuno, brand new set of Mizuno golf clubs. How about that? That alone should get you to go out there right now. Bring your ringers out. I know there's this, I don't know if you've known this, but there's always like, I don't know, 8, 10, a dozen groups of like really good golfers that all they do is they go play at these golf charity events and they just clean up because it's all, you play the best ball or you play whatever it happens to be, whatever the format is. You get 4 or 5 really good players together and you just go clean up.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these scores, they come in and they're like, on a par 72, they're shooting like 54s. And you're like, okay, really? Really? That's how it goes. But we invite everybody to come on out. Have a good time.
Yeah. I don't want to guess what my score would be. It would probably be pretty bad.
You think it'd be that bad?
I've never played golf other than mini golf, so I've never been to like Top Golf or what's the other one? Back Nine. I've never been to one of those places either, so I've never actually swung like
Top Golf is a great place to go with your friends because you just hang out and eat.
Oh, yeah.
And you can hit golf balls all night long, and it doesn't matter if they go straight or not.
Mm-hmm.
You're just trying to make sure that they don't go over the netting on the sides.
I don't think there would be a chance that I could get it over the netting.
I'm talking about on the sides.
Oh, on the sides,
yeah,
gotcha.
you just clip one and it goes off immediate 90-degree angle. I'm gonna make this full circle today, and I'm gonna say thank God, and it's not because of our previous caller, but I'm gonna say thank goodness for Curt Cignetti and IU football right now, because there was a time a year ago we're sitting here and the Pacers are in the middle of their run. They've really started to pick it up, right? they are looking tough. They're winning all these even before the playoffs. Remember, they were winning last-second games. It goes all the way back. It really started, I was at that game when they were playing the Bucks, and Tyrese Halliburton's falling out of bounds with a three-pointer, and it goes in, and they beat the Bucks.
The 4-point play. I mean, we were just talking about that play, I think, last week. That is the moment that everything kicked off.
So you've got that going on. And then the Colts start off at 8-2, right? And I know we had the heartbreak of Tyrese Halliburton blowing out the Achilles.
Mm-hmm.
So you're on the verge of winning an NBA championship with the Pacers. The Colts started off 7-1. And Indiana at that point in time was still undefeated, coming off a pretty good season from the year before. And we were getting ready for Purdue to have this locked and loaded team of this trio of seniors. Like, I'm just going to tell you that a year ago on March 31st, life in Indianapolis for a sports fan, you were feeling pretty good about things, right?
It was a good time to be around here.
Now the Pacers are 17-57. The Colts don't even have a healthy starting quarterback. They've let go at least 2 or 3 of their better players and really haven't replaced them adequately in my mind. And we had a heartbreaking in for Purdue. And how are they going to reload and get going? Although I believe in Matt Painter and he'll be able to do that. But right now, if you're a sports fan around here, you're hoping that the volleyball team out there in Fishers does well,
the Ignite,
right?
yeah.
The Indy Ignite?
Indy Ignite.
You hope that they're doing well and you're getting excited again for IU football, I suppose, but that's still months and months away. So, like, right here, right now, what are you excited about? What really excites you that, like, man, I can't wait till next year? And
really?
Think about, and my point is, thank goodness for Curt Cignetti, because things got away in a hurry, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean, really, the thing that I am most excited for is to see Curt Cignetti's Hoosiers in year 3. I mean, I do have some excitement for the Fever now that they've seemingly got that CBA worked out, and it looks like
that's true.
I
will give you that, because they're going to have whatever they end up having, they're going to build it around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston.
Kelsey Mitchell, too,
If
she comes back.
So there's a lot of excitement. Kelsey Mitchell is,
She's fantastic.
She might really be the best player on the team right now, to be honest with you.
She was, I mean, especially last year when Caitlin Clark was having all those injuries, she kept the Fever exciting.
But even with a healthy Caitlin, you could make the case that Kelsey Mitchell might be the best player on the team right now.
That's very fair.
And that's saying a lot, because Aaliyah Boston's on that team too. But my point being is, man, a year in sports can just, you look at I use it as an example, the Duke-UConn game. You go from a healthy, a 17-point lead they had over UConn?
Something like that, yeah.
And then you lose on a play like that instantly. I mean, look at Tyrese Halliburton in an instant. Daniel Jones in an instant. I enjoy the good times when you have them, folks. When your team's doing well, when your athlete, your favorite player, your favorite whatever is doing well, enjoy those times, because they're not promised to last forever. And sometimes you get on a run where you win a bunch of championships in a relatively short period of time, but let me tell you something. For every quote-unquote dynasty run that you have, even look at the Golden State Warriors from a couple of years ago. They had their run, and they're just kind of older guys hanging on right now, right? Looked at the Nuggets a couple of years ago with Jokic and Murray. Everybody thought that the Nuggets would be tough for years and years, right? You lose a couple of guys to free agency, get some injuries, you're a good team, but you're not what you were.
I mean, the mid-2010 Seahawks, they win that Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thinks they're the next dynasty. They just won their second one.
Enjoy the moments when you have them. That's what I'm saying. Enjoy every good moment you have. James, thanks for making this easy today. I appreciate that. JMV will be back in this chair tomorrow afternoon, much to the delight of most of you, I'm sure. I'll be back tomorrow bright and early with Kevin Bowen at 7 a.m.